Hello, and welcome back, everyone, to more Zenith League. I am on my own again, casting, but this time I have another broadcaster. We've got Trial Shock here with me, doing the broadcasting time. So if you like it, you can give him a little shout out in the chat. Today we've got another match. It's between Dynamo New Dawn, who I know from actually another league, in fact, and Lobstar Spicy, who have to be my favorite name of all of the teams that have entered, I will say. I've had a look into both teams a little bit. I know a bit about Dynamo New Dawn from before today, and had much chance to look into Lobstar Spicy, but I can kind of got an idea of where people might draft. That would be quite interesting. Dynamo New Dawn are a team that have been together for quite a while, so that's uh, they'll be an interesting team to watch. They should be very put together. You'd expect them to make a lot of team plays, be on the same page. So you should see some good team fighting coming out of them, some good map plays, but we'll have to wait and see. Lobstar Spicy, although I've not watched them before, um, they look like they could be quite a strong team. I do think there is a quite clear indicator for whether this team wins or loses, which I will not give away before the match. We'll have to see whether how the games go, and maybe some other people will pick up on it. But especially when we're so early in the league, I don't think it's worth giving that away. And here we go into the draft. So straight away, we see Nocturne banned away from Dynamo New Dawn. Nocturne is one of those champions where when your jungler starts to get onto that next level of play, he really levels up the amount that he brings to the team, because something people tend to forget about Nocturne is his ult is not just a tool for going in. The strongest part of his ult is the vision denial that it actually provides against the enemy team, especially when you just start a team fight. If you just throw that ult in straight away, the amount of disruption it can cause and the advantage it can give your team is absolutely massive. Lobstar Spicy, in response, are deciding to ban away the Maokai. Jumping straight back down Only Dawn, just taking away the Thresh, one of those champions that is very versatile. He provides your AD carry way to get out. He can provide a lot of good peel. He can provide an engage. Something very good. We can see bans kind of being thrown all over the place. Neither team knows right now if there is a certain player they need to focus down or if it's a bit more across the board. So the bans thrown all over the place. What you're likely to see this means is that as we progress through the series, those bans might move. When you don't see the target bans coming out, that tends to be what you happen. Dynamo New Dawn locking the Sejuani immediately. Very strong jungler. Provides a really good front line, provides some really good engage, can provide really good disengage for your team. Obviously, goes very well with melee champions. Um, Not as well as it used to, but still a very good champion to pick up if you want some melees in those solo lanes or for your support. It is countered. Again, we're doing the countering. For those of you who might be new to the competitive, do keep an eye out for that because it is something to pick up on. You generally do counter what your opponents pick. So Dynamo Dawn pick their jungler, Lobstar Spicy counter with the Trundle. Something that can interrupt the Sejuani from dashing forwards. Also, actually an amazing pick into Sejuani if you are quick enough to get your ult off while the Sejuani's passive is still up, because her passive skyrockets her armor and MR. If a Trundle can ult at that point and just steal away a lot of that armor and MR, you get so much from it. So definitely a really good thing that can be picked up there. Then we see the AD carry locked in for Lobstar Spicy. They're just taking this little dragon away, something that we've seen locked in the previous series. He scales, he provides some safety, late game win rate. It's a champion that you tend to see locked in a lot. Ziggs and Galio both being locked in. These are two champions that provide a lot of flexibility. So Dynamo New Dawn being very smart with their drafting here because you can't be sure whether that Ziggs is going towards the mid lane, whether it's going to the AD carry position. Same with Galio, very flexible champion, something you can put in mid, something you can put in support, something you can put in top. You really don't know where it's going, and it leaves Lobstar Spicy a bit sort of thinking, well, where is this going? Do we pick something that does well into the Galio? They pick the Akali, which is something that can be flexed. If you think that's a solo lane Galio and you want the Akali match into it, Akali is definitely something that you could flex up to the top lane if your top laner is comfortable playing that. We would expect the two teams now to start banning away things that they really believe. Well, they really don't want the opponents to play. I mean, it's a bit harder for Lobster Spicy. You don't know where that Ziggs or Galio is going yet, so you kind of have to guess. We can see they're banning away the Poppy, something that does very well against the Akali because, Poppy's steadfast presence can stop the dashes, can stop the Akali jumping straight in, can stop the Akali jumping out again. Gwen being banned by Dynamo New Dawn. Gwen in a very strong position right now, so um, it's not too surprising to see it get banned out. Aatrox being taken out by Lobstar Spicy, they clearly think from the context of these bans that Galio is not a top lane Galio. They're thinking that it is probably the AD Ziggs with a Galio support or mid lane Galio. So they're banning out the top laners. Top lane bans also coming from Dynamo New Dawn. A lot going into this top lane here. Be interesting to see if Lobstar Spicy were thinking that they just wanted to soften up those counters so they could do a blind pick, or whether they really wanted to do the counter themselves and move in for yeah for that themselves. It looks like they're locking in the on. So they were just taking away things they really didn't want to play against, things that do a little bit of countering potential. People don't realize Poppy's a very good champion into on. The steadfast presence actually blocks the on E. It can block on from pushing his ultimate again if you're good with the Poppy steadfast presence. So taking away the Poppy, very smart move. Aatrox also just something that can sometimes, if you're not too confident on, farm up the Orm pretty well. Nartho is a champion that's kind of a soft counter to Ornn in a way. It can do very well into the Ornn. It can smash the Ornn. A good Ornn sometimes will smash the Gnar back. It's just the way of Ornn. Pantheon being locked in for Dynamo New Dawn. Again, it's an interesting one because Gnar, is going top lane. At this point, the Ziggs is going into that bot lane role. You would expect, just due to the amount of AP, you're probably putting the Galio support and the Pantheon mid, but there is absolutely nothing stopping you from swapping it the other way around. Dynamo New Dawn have a very flexible draft here. It's got to leave Lobstar Spicy a little bit worried about what they pick. Whatever they pick support has to be good into Galio and has to be good into Pantheon. And they choose just to lock in the Taric. Something that, hey, if you get that W onto the Akali, you press ult as the Akali's about to jump in. That and Vulnerable can be absolutely amazing. As the Shroud goes down and the Akali's revealed, if she is invulnerable, what in the world do you do? Of course, this is something that we will have to keep an eye out for, where that Galio's going, where the Pantheon's going. I mean, it's not revealed by what they've done. However, you'd kind of think that Goronim, the mid for DND, Dynamo New Dawn, does prefer some of these mages. So I would kind of expect that to be a mage, which would be Galio. If you're on Lobster Spicy, that's kind of what you'd be expecting. I can see actually who's locking in the different things now, and Goronim is taking that Galio in towards the mid lane. It's an interesting pick. You'd be tempted if Goronim was comfortable on the Pantheon to actually put the Pantheon there into the Akali, see if you can maybe farm up the Akali a little bit. It's a bit of a risk, but it does give you that extra AD damage, which your team is quite lacking at the moment. And the other thing to note is that, of course, Pantheon not quite as good into something like the Taric, where you put a point in your W, you link to your AD carry, and you just give them a cloth armor for free. That's like 300 gold just into the pocket of your AD carry that goes really well against something like a Pantheon that really relies on putting down that early AD damage and usually will go lethality. and I say usually because we could see something fun. We'll have to see how Dark Abasha, the support for D&D, wants to build this Pantheon. Now, obviously, I think on the side of Lobstar Spicy, they have a very obvious lane that the Trundle's going to be looking towards. You really want this Akali to get ahead. The Akali's your assassin potential here. It's the thing that you want to kind of be jumping forwards and taking out the Ziggs. Unfortunately, for Lobstar Spicy, it's really only that Ziggs that you're looking directly at as the Akali. You know, you could try and take out the Gnar, but the Gnar will become a big tanky boy. Galio's a big tanky boy. Sejuani's a big tanky boy. Pantheon also, I mean, you can look at it with the Akali, but do you really want to spend your Akali taking out the enemy support? Debatable. There we go. So we are loading into the game in terms of summoners and runes. There's nothing too untowards picked up by the enemy teams. I do think we see a cleanse on the Smolder, which is really nice to see. Although the Pantheon stun is a very short stun, just having that cleanse, especially against things like the Sejuani and the Galio, can be absolutely massive. So we'll have to see
30 seconds until minions spawn.
how that does. And actually, we see an invade coming in here, but the early ward has spotted it out. So Dynamo New Dawn, realizing they can spot it out here, going in to potentially try and steal away the blue buff. But LSP know this is going on. And in fact, they will see all of Dynamo New Dawn leaving the area, so they'll know that there is a ward down. They're going to start on their top side, start with the red. Dynamo New Dawn having the presence of thought there, thinking, realizing that they should be putting down that ward on their blue. I do think it's interesting to see both junglers starting with their pots, potentially fearing an early invade, which you wouldn't tend to expect to see in a matchup like this, that or just not too confident in their own clear power. You can definitely see either of these champions could invade the other one, but it is a bit risky. Yeah, interesting point to take the pots. Can I speak Italian? No, I cannot, unfortunately. So I am sure I am going to butcher some of these names, and I'm very sorry if I do so. If I do, but there is an engage down bot lane. The cleanse is put in by Requiem, probably not needed. A lot of damage put back into Dark Abasha. Overall, D&D coming out slightly ahead in that trade there, managing to push the wave in. The CS should be pretty much evened up. Yeah, if I do butcher any of the any of the names, feel free to just flame me in the chat and tell me how to say it properly, and I'll do my best. But I cannot speak Italian, to be clear. So, where are we likely to see things early? The Pantheon is a very strong early champion, especially when you have this press the attack. You can stack that almost instantly. Was a lot stronger when press the attack also buffed your allies, but it doesn't do so anymore. But I'd expect to see a lot of early pressure down here, maybe them trying to get the Ziggs ahead. Meanwhile, on the other side, you know, the Akali definitely probably going to be looking towards trying to get the Akali ahead into the Galio. Fairly safe lane for the Akali. As long as she can stay healthy. Top lane, probably won't see much happening. This is basically what we're going to see, Dark Abasha jumping in every time. Sidasta was a slightly slow there. Dark Abasha taking a lot of damage, forced to flash away. Requiem not wanting to commit the flash to follow. But yeah, if Sidasta can actually use this E quick enough when the Pantheon's jumping forward, he can put the stun down as the Pantheon is doing his auto attacks, lock him in place for Requiem to just do that extra little bit of damage. It's a little bit of a mini game of how quick are your reactions. Of course, the main thing here with Gnar is it's going to be, does Gnar want to push in this top lane really hard? and try and go for the plates? Or does he want to let it come towards him? Does he want to freeze it and try and... Oh, but there's an engage down bot lane. The Pantheon caught out without the flash. He will go down, but... Oh, and Sidasta there actually stepping into the enemy turret does mean it will end up being a 1-for-1. What was a really nice gank coming out from the Locazone. Lozacone? Yeah, Lozacone, probably, maybe. Then, unfortunately, does not come out as well as you'd hope. Like I said, I cannot speak Italian. The one thing I see in chat speaks English like a real British. If that happens to be me, I am British, but it could very easily be someone else because I cannot read the rest of what is in there. But we're probably going to see a fairly low rest of the early game. The early Drake likely to be picked up by this Sejuani. It is a champion that can do very good into taking these, and they're already on it. It's an early Mountain Drake, which people really do underestimate. That extra 1 or 2 armor and 1 or 2 magic resist that it gives does stack up in these trades. A little bit of poke coming out, but not too much. You can see Cull picked up for the little dragon. Just looking to slowly scale up here. Sejuani, after taking that Drake, is looking for an invade, but Trundle's on the way. Control ward put down by the Akali as well. Sejuani could get caught out here. There's a lot of wards for the side of DND, so they should see any potential fights coming. Declan with the short trades. Trundle will take his wolves, but Sejuani has taken away the Gromp. Overall, jungle pressure going in Extra Flavor's favor just a little bit. And a gank down into the bot lane onto the Taric, a good punish while his flash is not up. The ultimate coming in from Goronim definitely will secure that one. Wasn't really needed, and will give Akali a little bit of time on her own in this mid lane. We'll have to see whether she can actually get anything from it, or will just take the back. It looks like Declan looking to just take a back, although, no, maybe not. Heading up towards this top lane, DJ Stino with the Mega Gnar will be running out, but probably just gonna take the back, yeah. And unfortunately for Declan, had the perfect chance there to either pressure for a plate or take the back. Unfortunately, look towards the top lane, won't really get anything. Sidasta here just to help Declan push that in, get that back off that surely he must be wanting. Both supports trending up towards this top side before the grubs spawn. Darkabasha fanning out Sidasta here. He put down, that's a Galio. The ultimate is committed. Darkabasha taking too much damage there. Jumping from Declan, not quite enough flashes forwards to take that kill. Second kill on against Darkabasha here. And that is the kind of gold you want to be putting into this Akali early. You want to make sure that she can get those item spikes, be able to actually assassinate some of these squishier champions. Robinator in trouble there, forced to flash and use the satchel to get away, just not respecting the fact he knew that all of these guys were sitting down in the river. Extra flavor over the wall here. They could look for Lozacone. Putting some damage down in. We'll be able to stun him up, but Mariofaso's also here. The knock-up, Extra flavor goes down already. The ultimate committed by the Zingers. They should get Sidasta, but a 2-for-1 in the end. And Robinator without the flash, without the satchel, may go down, but it doesn't know if they have the damage. Just have the damage. A triple kill into the Trundle. So much gold going into the Trundle's pockets, and we'll have to see what he decides to spend it on. Meanwhile, DJ Stino, though, will pick up one consolatory plate here in the bot lane for D&D's side. It's a small gold lead. It's not too much. And it looks like, you know, Trundle is looking towards picking up these grubs. When you have a Trundle in your team, you do love some nice grubs. Trundle's a champion that can push towers very quickly, and with that extra grub damage, you definitely can push those towers extra quickly. Akali probably will be on a side lane as well, benefit from that. Flash falls from Extra Flower, doesn't quite get the knock up. And that's gotta hurt. Flash being down from the Sejuani does really falter the engage potential that could come out from her. Just some small trades coming down in the top lane. Gold still fairly even. A little bit of it being made up for by that Drake. Again, 2 of the grubs taken, 1 of the grubs being left, interestingly enough. A Requiem on this Smolder. Should we do a Smolder stack check? How's Smolder doing? 68 stacks. So, you know, could be worse. Both controls in the pit. Of course, either jungler's going to know when the other one goes to take this final grub. Looks like the Sejuani will go for it. Extra Play will pick that up for his team. 1 grubs. You know, nice to have. Interesting that Lozicone did leave that for them, instead of just taking them all himself. Bramble Vest was picked up first by Mariofo. Which, you know, will reduce some of this fleet footwork healing from the Gnar, but honestly not the most useful. Ooh, DJ Zenith wants to flash there. Ornhorn called down. The knockup will be going in. Lozicone is here, has so much damage now. Who are they going to give it to? They give it to Mariofi. That was probably the correct decision. Meanwhile, 4v2 top lane. The ultimate committed by the Taric dies before it goes on him, but it's on both Declan and Requiem. So much damage coming out. Goronim going low. He's taken out. Ultimate from the Ziggs. Super Mega Bomb does not do enough. Extra Flavor will get taken out. 2 kills into the Akali. And a disaster. Bit of a disaster there of that tower dive. They do get the Taric, but because of Declan moving up, knowing what's going to happen and being there on time, it ends up being the 2-for-1 favor of LSP. In Requiem running into Robinator right now. Where's Robinator going? The Satchel's just going to throw him back towards the enemy jungle. Requiem definitely going to be able to pick this one up eventually. And meanwhile in the mid lane, Goronim, though, starting to get tanky enough and have the damage to put some into Declan. Eventually, this Galio will start to do well into the Akali, unless you can get very far ahead. So, definitely one to keep an eye on. And a bit of a quieter portion of the game being moved into here. I think we'll definitely have a very interesting second buy here from the Trundle. He's decided to go first for the Centered Sky. Very common, especially for these kind of more bruisery champions. Trundle, though, he does so well with the Trifle. Oh, but there's the engage. Sidasta flashing forwards to make sure they get Robinator, who again, without the flash, Satchel going into the wall. They're trying to leave it. They leave it for the little Dragon Requiem, picking it up with 4 kills now. This is so much gold going into the carries of LSP. Quite far ahead, and DND need to find a way to stabilize this game. Robinator just pushing forwards too far, getting a bit too high fight. Goronim should be completely fine here. He's a tanky Galio. DJ Steno, though, moving forwards without any rage bar built up. And Goronim could be in some trouble. DJ Steno building the rage bar. He's put a lot of damage down. It's almost built up. A little ult thrown in by Extra Flavor. There's the rage bar. There's the knock up. Here comes the Gnar. One taken up. Ultimate flash away from by Mariofi. And that is a 1-for-1 in the end.
Turret plating will soon fall.
Never submit.
It's a good thing Extra Flavor thought to come there. Manages to turn that back around. Pick up an extra kill for the team. Just a small gold lead, a bit over 1,000 gold right now. So all those extra plates actually being picked up has done a lot to keep D&D in this game. Lozakone, though, looking for a gank in the top lane, forcing Dark Bash's flash out. And that's just what this Trundle needs to be doing, continuously moving into these lanes, forcing the flashes, getting those extra kills, giving them over to his carries. And definitely LSP here, showing a really good showing from them so far. We'll have to see how they transition this early mid into a more mid-later game. They don't have the most normal of team fights, so we'll see how they pilot this composition. First item starting to be picked up as well on the side of D&D. We've got that Triforce finally on the Gnar. The Heartsteel is on the Sejuani, so it can start to be stacked soon. And she can start moving towards building some more resistances. Of course, it's one of those weird ones because the more resistances you build, the better it kind of gets for the enemy team as well. So we'll have to see how that goes. Robinator and Dark Bash are being moved into the mid lane. I think this is smart. They were struggling on that side lane there, kept getting caught out. I'd like to see a bit more roaming maybe coming out from Dark Basher. There's some things he could do, even just roaming towards the top lane matchups here, putting some pressure down onto the Ornn. You could maybe put some pressure down. I've been putting some pressure onto the Akali. Get some wards down. Feels like he's not getting too much done sitting in the lane right now. And the Ziggs is someone that, especially in mid lane, should be able to survive on his own. You've got the Pantheon ults as well to easily get to those other lanes and just put that pressure down. Have to see how that goes. Both teams should start looking towards the Drake soon. You can see a ward journey being taken by Extra Flavor and Dark Basher there. Although they do get the ward into the enemy jungle, one of them is swiftly cleared. Hextech Drake is our third Drake. It's a Hextech Soul. Pretty much undisputed strongest soul in the game. Still, they really need to do something about it. But there we go. It is being started up by LSP. This is a second Drake for either team, so it's something that they can just decide to give up. I reckon they could try the Hextech Gate Smite. Don't know if that still works, but it's not something worth giving your life up over. Although Extra Flavor does go in and steal it. Flashing away, actually manages to get back over the wall. And that is worth it for D&D in the end. Robinator will satchel away. Manages to just keep himself safe. But the two Drakes over, it's nice for D&D. Buys them another few minutes before a potential soul, before a potential Elder Drake later in the game. So something people might wonder about is the phase rush on the Galio. If you're potentially newer to the game or you don't see Galio much, but there is an engage up here. Sidasta going very low, forced to ult. He will stay alive a little bit longer. Meanwhile, the Galio ult will come in. Justice jumping down. Taunt comes out, but they're so low. Robinator's just throwing what he can from far away. Declan's brought low. He tries to jump onto the Ziggs, but he's stunned up and will go down. Meanwhile, in the top, Stino is taken out on the top side. So it's a 2-for-1 in the end. Declan and Sidasta are going down in return for Stino. It looks like LSP are just happy to give this one up. It's a little hard to tell what's just going wrong for LSP right now. It feels like they're not quite playing together. Some of them going off to fight one person and some are going off to find the other. They're pushing a little too far forwards, allowing the Ziggs to stay like near his tower, still free firing at them. Lozakone coming in, Sidasta as well. They want to fight for this. Herald Mariofo on the backline has found Robinator, taking him out. Extra Flavor's in a bit of trouble here. He's taken very low. Here comes the Galio, taunt onto 3. They've taken one out. It's still a 3v3, but the TP comes in from Stino. Stino's back into this fight. The fight just keeps going on. Daggerbash taken out on the backside. Garanem going after Requiem. They want to take out this little dragon. Stino manages to get him, but he's taken down himself. Garanem left in a 1v3, just trying to escape. Punches will go in, but the kill goes over to the troll. And they should be able to just push in this mid lane. Interestingly, they didn't just all path towards the mid lane to try and take this mid lane tower. Gonna leave it for Mariofi to push himself. That mid lane outer can be a hard one to break against, especially against something like a Ziggs that can just ult your wave. So it's a bit strange they didn't commit the three of them there just to take it. Instead, Lozakone will just take some of the enemy jungle. They'll push in the top lane as well for a bit of damage there. And the gold lead, about 3,000 right now for LSP. In terms of where that's actually sitting, we can see the biggest gold lead is on that bot laner differential. It's just over 1,000 there. And also a bit over 1,000 in the jungle as well. So you're really looking towards can the Smolder and the Trundle make a big difference here? Although the goal difference isn't so big between the team, it's not like in the previous games we saw today where you're really looking at one person. It's kind of like everyone's a little bit ahead. So far, we've seen some nice ultimates coming out from Tarek, especially. It's one of those that can be a bit harder to use, but Sedasta's been playing it quite well so far. I really want to highlight Lozakone as well on the Trundle. Yes, he's had those flashy Trundle kills, but his gang so far. Oh, but a flash in by Dark Bash. They found Requiem. The ult comes down, but it's not quick enough from Sedasta. Goronim ulting in as well, just to be sure of that. Robinator should be able to take this turret. They've turned around, moving up towards the top lane, interestingly. Not really much for them there apart from the Atakan. It looks like they do want to fight for this Atakan. They think they've got enough from taking out Requiem. Goronim is just zoning. Atakan about half health. Mariofi is at the front here. Lozakone is away. Ornhorn's cooled down. He's looking for it. Knocks up Robinator. Declan on the backline, jumping in, trying to find the Ziggs. He's on top of the Ziggs. Can he take him out, though? He takes out the Ziggs. That Ziggs down. That's a big carry out. Dark Pasha also taken out, and now Lozakone will just take this Atakan. And honestly, a big throw from DND, thinking that taking out one member there is enough for them to win the team fight. Herald picked up and just bouncing around in a circle. Extra flavor there. Maybe he needs to go back for some driving lessons. And that's 2 turrets actually picked up there for the side of LSP, as well as that Atakan, and that gold lead has absolutely ballooned. 5k now ahead. You can see the bounties on the Trundle, on the Ornn. They have just gained so much gold in those fights. And now it's going to be a bit of a struggle for D&D. They were doing what they needed to do, just finding these small picks, but forcing the team fight was not what they wanted to do. Dark Bash just getting caught out there, nothing he was going to be able to do. He's taken out. They didn't need to fight for this Drake, and Dark Bash has given over another kill trying to ward for it. Honestly, this is a Drake they should just give over, but it doesn't look like they want to. They're moving towards it. I mean, a cheeky wind thrown out from the Galio, but they're jumping into Declan right now. They've been baited a little bit. Steno is in trouble. A nice flash from Sedasta locks him up, and he's taken out. Ultimate from the Sejuani is not enough to keep them alive. And D&D are just pushing for things they really don't need to. I think the Drake needs more wards. That's what we love. More wards, honestly. It is the classic support dying for a ward. Always worth it. And even with all that though, gold lead has moved a little bit, but not so much. Something I do want to highlight with Declan's Akali here is you can see his build path is more towards the kind of bruisery Akali. He's realized that, do you know what, there's so many tanky people on the enemy team and they don't have that much burst. The burst is really from the Ziggs and the Pantheon, who you're hoping you'll have blown up. That he can tech more into these health items. They're going to help keep him alive against the tankier members. The Leandries as well will help bring down those tankier members. Meanwhile, that Riftmaker should help keep him alive, give him a bit more of that healing, as well as the Conqueror. when it gets towards these longer fights, and this Akali is really going to be a problem. You would hope to see that we might get some grievous wounds picked up on the side of D&D, and interestingly enough, you would hope to see it coming out from someone who's going to be putting down a lot of damage throughout the entire enemy team. Probably from Goronim or Extra Flavor would be the best two. Those are people that have some AoE spells that are likely going to apply it across the entire enemy team so that you'll hit the Trundle, you'll hit the Akali, you'll hit the Taric. Those are the people you really want to make sure that you hit with it. Also, actually, the Smolder who has Fleet Footwork. Grievous Wound's really good in this game for D&D. It's just, I have to see how long it takes them to pick up a good source. Dark Basher, again, wanting to ward, being too far ahead. Declan on the backline, though. He's maybe found Robinator. Robinator get away, a nice taunt from Goronim. Declan in a lot of trouble. Jumping forwards, he's really feeling himself. He jumps in, gets Extra Flavor, but he's so low. Can Goronim pick him up? That will be a big kill if he does. He does pick him up. DJ Stino in the backline has bought a bit of time for the rest of his team, but not much. And honestly, it's not the biggest of bounties, but it does mean potentially Goronim and Robinator here will be able to pressure the rest of the team off without the Akali to jump onto Robinator. Robinator should be able to free fire. He's throwing the bomb. There's a lot of damage coming out from the Ziggs. They've always taken out the Taric. Taric is down. It's traded 1-for-1. The support for the mid laner. Robinator wanting to get close, but really struggling. The Ornn able to just zone him away. Interestingly, Ornn does go back for the Baron. Ult coming out from the Ziggs. A lot of damage into the little dragon. Baron is still hitting them. Lozakone being taken pretty low is taken out 1,000 gold into the pockets of the Pantheon. Mariofi is low as well. This is a big fight that's breaking out. There's no mana left on the Ziggs. He's going to struggle. Mariofi actually getting away. Declan's looking for them both. Dark Basher trying to take the Hex Technique. Not enough. Declan wants Robinator. He's jumping so far forwards, but he's going to be stunned up. And where is Declan going? He just saw the Ziggs and lost his mind. Really wants to... That's a flash as well. Declan, what are you doing? And that was a really nice play, actually, from Goronim and Robinator together, stalling out the Baron, keeping D&D in this game, making sure that the Baron doesn't go over to Lobstar too early, picking up some kills, picking up some of those bounties to bring themselves back into this game a little bit. Only, I mean, less than 5k behind now. They're starting to pull it back a little bit. And, yeah, a little bit of a throw, honestly, from Lobstar, especially their Declan, who's been playing so well the entire game. Uncharacteristic for the rest of how he's been playing. We'll have to see how it continues. 17 seconds on this Hex Tech Drake, definitely one we'd expect the teams to be looking towards. Oh, but Robinator's caught. Satchel comes out. He might stay alive. They've got to keep away Extra Flavor, and Dark Basher just escorting their Ziggs to safety here, but the Ornhorn's called. You can see the Ziggs. Ziggs dodging around. Here comes the Galio, helping to keep him alive. They're kiting as best as they can. Declan, though, he will be looking for the Ziggs. He's found Robinator. That will be the Ziggs being taken out. That's a big takedown. Meanwhile, Goronim actually putting out a lot of damage in the backline. Almost managing to get Requiem, but he is taken out in the end, and Robinator being caught out there, costing 3 other members of his team as well, and that will finally be the Baron going over to Lobstar. And it doesn't look like Extra Flavor is going to try and test this at all, just going to push Declan off of this in a top lane tower, keep it alive a little bit longer. That gold leads yet again ballooned, almost 10k now. We're starting to see the Ornn items come out. First one has gone over to the little dragon on Smolder. See the Masterwork Essence Reaver being picked up, so a bit more AD, a bit more ability haste. I'm not sure how useful the ability haste is on the Smolder really, but yeah, take the extra AD for sure. Both teams now looking towards this Drake. It's an interesting thing when you have the Baron and there's a Drake up that you're stacking Drakes towards, is how do you play this? As Lobster Spicy now, do you really value that Drake more than you value the pushing power of the Baron? Because you got to remember, yeah, Drakes help you to win team fights. But to win the game, you need to push those towers, and you need to get the towers down, and the Baron is an incredible tool to do that. It does get you a lot of gold as well, but it really does help you finish the game, and using the Baron to get a dragon is not his best use. Especially DND are very happy now just to stall out this Baron as long as they can. And Lobster, honestly, should be doing something. They're finally starting up the Drake. But no, again, they're just moving off it. They're not pushing any lanes with this Baron. They're not taking the Drake. It's honestly a little bit of a waste apart from the gold it gave them. This is great for the side of D&D. They're very happy with this. Oh, but maybe they've caught the Galio. And Goranim just walking out. Finally, Lobster starting up the Drake. There are wards on it, so it'll be known. They've maybe caught Declan. That's a big catch if they can get the Akali out here. D&D can definitely take the fight, but there's a knock-in. Akali jumping back. Ultimate brought out by the Galio, knocking up 3. Ornhorn knocks them up. There's Galio taken out. Sejuani's out. Pantheon jumping in. Robbie Nacer just doesn't have the damage. And the damage is not there for D&D right now. Knock up from Mariofi. He's looking for Robbie Nacer. Won't be able to get him. Interestingly, a back comes out from Dark Abasha. I'm a little surprised he didn't actually go to cut the wave there. I thought he was going to go and just cut out the mid wave from behind them. This could be the end of the game, though. Baron coming in. Only Robbie Nacer and Dark Abasha to survive for at least 10 more seconds, but it looks like Lobstar Spicy prefer to just play it safe. They're going to move back. They're going to pick up their third Hextech Drake, putting him on the soul point. And they'll just take their backs, get their items, and look towards when they can finish the game in the future. And you really gotta look for D&D. How do they win this? It was a really nice potential catch on the Akali, but that Zhonya's doing so much work, buying so much time for the rest of the team to come in. When something like that happens, maybe you look at what's happening now when you just back out. You don't go in straight away. The other thing I'd like to point out is we've seen Goranim using those Galio ults almost straight away. Every single team fight. It worked out quite well last team fight. It knocked up a few people, helped buy some room. But honestly, it's one of those things you'd like to see him hold, unless he really needs to get that extra range to get to the fight. Hold to help keep Robbie Nacer alive into this Akali. The Ziggs is pretty much your damage dealer in this entire game. You need to keep him alive. And the Galio is something with that extra magic shield. It's a big tool for keeping him alive if Declan gets onto him, and Declan has been able to get onto Robbie Nacer constantly. There's not much the Ziggs can do about it. But we would expect here for Lobstar to just be pushing in both top and bot lanes, which they are choosing to do, leaving the Akali on her own as one of the strongest members of the team, and the other 4 pushing together, making sure that, you know, Requiem will be safe with his push. 3 members of D&D are being put down to keep this tower alive. Dark Bash taking so much damage. Of course, there's the mid wave to contend with as well. Something that people sometimes will forget. Weirdly, okay, they're not leaving that bot wave. You do, from the fact you have supers coming in, although you lose a lot of map pressure, you do gain a little bit of golden XP. There's always a silver lining in these things. So that should help you a little bit with catching up on those levels on gold. I mean, it won't help you much. You're looking at once every 20-30 seconds, you know, a few XP, 90 extra gold. It's not going to make the difference in a match, but it's at least something that means you don't have to feel too bad about losing inhib. Oh, and Darker again. Every time he goes to ward, it feels like Lobster just know where he's going. They're always waiting for him. We can see this, trying to set up a trap again. They've seen them. Robinator almost caught out by Declan. Declan jumping forwards, really wants him. But Darkabasha caught again, trying to get these wards. Goronim actually keeping Robinator alive with the Galio ult. This is what we want to see. Declan could be in some trouble here. Robinator has to be a little bit careful at standing back. There's the ultimate. It's just thrown too early from Robinator. Q not early enough. And Declan might be able to escape with this one. He will. Extra Flavor actually jumping in, stealing the Baron there out of nowhere. That's a massive pickup for DND. That pulls them back into this game. It's going to give them the power to hold these waves for another few minutes. And honestly, Extra Flavor here saying, I am not done with this game yet. We are going to stay in here. We are going to keep it up. Robinator needs to be careful. He's playing with fire a little bit here, which, you know, it's maybe thematic for Ziggs, but he can't afford to get caught out anymore in this game. DJ Sino going mega and interestingly jumping away instead of forwards. It looks like they want to go for the 3v2 fight here. Taunt coming down. Robinator also here. It's a 4v2. The ultimate's thrown out from the Taric. They can't quite kill him in time, so that's a lot of time used up. Requiem throwing in so much damage from the dragon. Taking out two. Lozagones found Robinator. He's able to get back across the wall with the satchel, but two out from DND's side. It looked like a good engagement. They just didn't have the damage to finish the Taric in time. And they have the Baron. They could have stalled. They didn't need to be pushing these. The Ornn items are already out. The enemy team's almost full build. They're not getting much stronger. That's one inhib down. Interestingly, Akali taking the back instead of continuing to push, but ooh, a lot of damage. These Ziggs bombs are very damaging, but is the problem with D&D's team. If Robinator's caught out and dies, that's pretty much all of their damage gone. Sedge ult's forced to be committed. And one thing I do notice is we're not really seeing Grievous wounds picked up that much on the side of D&D. We actually see the Bramble Vest. Oh my god, Darkabasha ulting in there. Hextech Drake has been picked up as well. It's the Hextech Soul. Declan on the backside here. Robinator's just on his own. He'll be taken out. That has got to be the game. 3 going down. Extra Flavor might be able to get out of this, but Extra Flavor and Steno are going to really struggle to keep this alive by themselves. There's the Mega Gnar. He throws 3 away, but he's going to be taken down too. That will be the end of the game. Lobstar Spicy just having to walk this down, pull a wave in. They probably don't even need a wave, to be honest. With this Ornn tanking, they can likely just take the towers down themselves. Game 1 will go to Lobstar Spicy. There were some very good plays there from D&D as well, but it felt like Lobstar Spicy had their number, honestly, when it came to the jungle and the support. They were finding Darkabasha out so many times. The ganks coming out from Lozakun as well were really good. He just kept going back, using the Trundle pillar to force out the flashes, get those kills. Robinator as well for D&D, just pushing up a bit too far, was caught out a few too many times. And a strong pickup from Lobstar Spicy in Game 1, but the question is, will they be able to do a similar thing for Game 2? You wouldn't expect similar strategies to really work again. So, we'll have to see how that goes in Game 2. I think if you're looking towards whether you want to swap up any bands going into Game 2, Lobstar Spicy, I think you don't really need to look towards it. You had a very strong Game 1 there. You might decide that, hey, actually, looking at the enemy team, we saw Extra Flavor was a bit of a problem, had a couple of smite steals, was generally where he needed to be to help out his teammates escape almost. So you might throw a few more bans towards there. However, you don't really need to. On the other side of D&D, if you're looking towards who you want to ban out on the enemy team, I think you kind of have a clear view here, where Lozakone really really put in a lot of work with the ganks. He really got so many flashes, caught out so many people. You don't really want him able to do that thing again, but there's so many ganking junglers, that's going to be hard to do. I would be more looking towards this mid lane. Declan was really good at finding that Ziggs in the team fights. On that Assassin Akali was managing to get into that backline, take the Ziggs out, buy so much time for his team with the Zonyas, with the Shroud that I think really if you're on the side of Dynamo New Dawn, you're going to be looking more towards how do we make sure Declan doesn't have a performance like that again. Of course, being in Fearless, we're not going to see any of these champions that were just played in the next game of the series, but which will give us a very interesting view into how these teams take the series forwards. I think there was a lot of roaming potential on Dynamo New Dawn that you didn't really get to pick out or pick to use. The Galio, we saw a couple of early roams, but often he was there after the play had finished, so he would land. The enemies would already be dead or disengaged, and we didn't really get to see Darkabasha roam much on the Pantheon. So hopefully we'll see maybe see a bit more out of Darker this game. He can be a very strong player for Dynamo New Dawn. Just needs to be a bit careful of not being caught out as much in this game too. Looking at the draft, it looks like Dynamo New Dawn want to play on the blue side again, favoring the early pick over that counter, maybe. But we'll have to see. I think someone that was very quiet in the last game that would be interesting to see more of is this top lane matchup. We saw something fairly boring in the Ornn versus the Gnar. There's a good likelihood with these teams we'll see something like that again. But it definitely would be nice to see a bit of a change up, something where they might fight a little bit more, not some wet noodle slaps. So maybe we'll see something like that in the top lane. And in the bot lane, we didn't really see much come out. We saw some early engages by Darker. There were some good engages, but we saw some nice counters as well from Requiem Sidasta. Requiem, I think, is another person as well you could maybe think about throwing some bans towards, but when he was just playing a very scaling safe pick in the Little Dragon there, it's one that's hard because you don't really have an obvious targets to ban out. And if you're wondering why we're talking so long before the draft comes up, yes, they are just still making the draft. I am looking for things to talk about. We could maybe have a look at some other things that people play on either team. So one of the things that I think is very very important to note about Dynamo Dawn, and especially Extra Flavor, is Extra Flavor is very good on the Sejuani. Dynamo Dawn does very well when Extra Flavor has the Sejuani, and the fact that that last game didn't go so well for them is quite unfortunate. Um, so, yeah, we'll so we'll have to see how Dynamo Dawn adapt coming into this second series. Okay, so I can confirm that for Series 2, Dynamo Dawn are choosing to be on the red side. So they would like that counter pick. So maybe they want to try and secure themselves a stronger pick in the mid lane or potentially in the top lane. Obviously, they didn't have that counter pick mid lane last time, so we might see that. I think it'll also be nice to see Robbie Nater on a normal AD carry. When you look at the things he plays, he can basically play anything. However, I think the thing they were really missing in that previous game was that constant source of damage coming out. Although Ziggs was putting a decent amount out, you just build some MLR into the enemy, mostly AP team, and you're good. I think as well, potentially something that extra flavor can use to push a bit more pressure in that early game would be nice to see. So he does play the Sedge, he does play, we could see like a Mumu Maokai who can also do some early ganking, but I think Volley Vi also good champions for him. We might see one of them. Goronim as well, just put him back. I'd kind of say for D&D, looking into this game too, maybe scale back your ambitions a little bit, go more towards a standard comp, and see how that plays out for you. That kind of protect the Ziggs comp was a bit of a strange one, especially with the Pantheon. The comp kind of, it looked like it was a let's all jump in suddenly across the map, and they never really managed to do that. So I think it'd just be nice to see a more back to front team fight from them. Lobstar Spicy, I mean, they just got to keep at it. Mario Fee with a big, beefy front line who can engage for them. And the rest of them, I mean, yeah, just put something AP mid, put an A scaling AD carry bot lane, seemed to work well for them. So we'll see if they decide to do a similar thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Mariofi in the top lane, they potentially look towards the Cho'Gath. That would be his next. Generally what you'd expect if you do some scouting into him. He does also like the AD bruisers. They might change a little bit to get some AD bruisers in there, and maybe weaken up their front line a little bit, but to up their damage and not put so much pressure on the mid lane or an AD carry to put that damage out. Anyone else that we want to talk about? So Lozagone, we obviously saw him on the Trundle. He plays a lot of different champions. They are he does like these champions which, they have the strong kind of jump in potential, which is different to the Trundle, I do admit. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some of those coming out. You could see a Jarvan coming out. You could see a Xin Zhao, something like that. But also, if they do want a bit more of this strong, tanky front line, we could see a Zac. Zac, very good champion. We could see the Nocturne. Anything like that. Requiem on the AD carry, I think, you just lock him another AD carry. There's not too much to go there. Declan's an interesting one. Now that the Akali is gone, he can pretty much... I mean, Akali is his most played champion. It's what he's most comfortable on. You'd expect him to kind of look towards probably an Echo next. If D&D's thinking and they want to try and pigeonhole Lobstar Spicy, they might ban out this Echo and try and pigeonhole them into a mostly AD draft. And we can see that the draft is starting up. So, Maokai coming out banned again from Lobstar Spicy. They just don't want that going over to the enemy jungler. And I think that's a smart continuation ban here. You saw some of the issues that came out for you last game from the D&D's jungler. Why give him one of his strong picks? Dynamo New Dawn as well just looks like they're banning out the similar champions to before. They take away the Nocturne. Again, it can be a champion that's very annoying. It allows that jungler to just jump in wherever they want. Loves the Spicy with the Poppy takeaway. Poppy is a strong champion right now. Honestly, a lot from the fact that they just keep adding and buffing champions with dashes. The game does feel like it needs some anti-dash champions. There's the Echo ban from Dynamo New Dawn. I think it's pretty much expected. You're kind of forcing at this point for Lobstar Spicy to lock in an earlier mid laner because you're really cutting them down. If they really want to double down on this, Dynamo New Dawn might knock out another mid laner that has been played recently. That's AP for Lobstar Spicy, but it doesn't look like they will. Instead, they're banning the Gwen. Also, Spicy taking away the Syndra, I mean, it's your classic mid laner. It's something that Dynamo New Dawn's mid laner is very comfortable on, his most played, so I think that's pretty normal. Loves the Spicy, locking in the Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa's something that their AD carry is very, very comfortable on, and after last game on the Smolder, I don't think he has anything to worry about. Dynamo New Dawn probably look for something for Robinator here, maybe a strong jungler, but no, they're going to lock in the Scion. They just want a big, beefy top lane straight away for their top laner. Scion, strong champion right now. Pretty much HP staffers generally are quite strong champions at the moment. A lot of the time it's just because people forget Bork exists and don't want to build it, even on champions which, hey, they might not normally build Bork, but when you see someone that's going to have 10k health, that Bork's doing like an extra 1,000 damage per auto. I see the Wukong looked in from Dynamo New Dawn. So, two frontliners, people that can do quite well. Wukong's just a strong champion. He provides a lot of that extra value that you kind of don't see very easily. He's good into AD champions. He has the double knockups. Rek'Sai being locked in generally as a top laner, you can flex it to jungle still. I still haven't seen people, even in pro, utilize it as well as it could be used top. It's one of these champions that actually can have great gank potential even from top lane. If you can be bothered to set up your tunnels moving towards mid, you can get from top to mid in a matter of 5 seconds or so, and you can really throw off the enemy mid laner, but not really seeing anyone do that yet. We'll have to see whether Lobstar Spicy's top laner is someone to do it. Xin Zhao locked in. Again, just a very strong jungle champion. Provides good zoning. Provides some engage, some extra damage, some CC. He just does a bit of everything. Zin's just, he's a generically strong champion. Corki, I think, decent champion to lock in. It's something that can get away from the Xin Zhao if needed. It's a strong AD champion, something that in the hands of Robinator, it still gives him that way to get out if he mispositions. Like the Ziggs had the satchel, he can W away on the Ziggs, but also provides more of that AD threat right now. I'd expect bans to probably come in towards the mid lane. You might see bans to come in towards support, but there's the Yasuo being taken away. I think that's a good one to take away. Something that just one of his many passives just ignores half of your armor. So obviously a very nice one to take away, especially when there's a lot of knockups on the enemy team. If Yasuo was quick enough, the Xin ult can be ulted off of himself. Interestingly, Lobstar Spicy are taking away the Orianna, something that their mid laner has played himself recently. So cutting down on their AP choices, we might see the Kai'Sa tech more into AP just to bring that AP damage, but we'll have to wait and see. Blitzcrank being hovered as the next ban by Dynamo New Dawn. That's an interesting ban from them. Signals that they might want to play something not so great into the Blitzcrank, but let's not spoil anything. So Lobstar Spicy up next. I would expect them probably to just throw another ban towards the mid lane. Yeah, they're just banning the Talia, something that can make Zen and Rek'Sai's life, and Kai'Sa's in fact, a bit of a misery. There is, interestingly, one more mid laner who does like the enemy to have dashes, so we'll see if Dynamo New Dawn's mid laner plays it and wants to pick it up. No, they're going to pick up the Annie instead. Something that's just, again, a generically strong champion. Unfortunately, you can't build Bruiser Annie anymore, and you can't build Tibbers as my champion Annie anymore, but she is now just more of that burst engage mage. A champion that if she can catch out the Kai'Sa here, definitely can turn the tables in one of these team fights. So up to Lobstar Spicy, they see the enemy mid laner. They're going to lock in the Morgana, and they're looking for their other, it could be mid, it could be support. We don't know yet until it's locked in, because Morgana can be flexed between the two. But very good into something like the Annie, which can have very telegraphed stun. But what will they lock as their final pick? Would expect to see a big source of AP damage still, potentially, but no, that is going to be the Morgana in the mid lane, and they'll lock in the Renata support. I believe I saw, if I remember right, that their support does like Renata. So I'm not too surprised. Shouldn't be too surprised about that one. Oh, in fact, no. Support hasn't actually played Renata that recently. So maybe one they're not as practiced on, but we'll have to see how that goes. And Alistair locked in for Dynamo New Dawn. Big beefy frontline, some nice engage, insect potential. Definitely a good pickup for the side of Dynamo New Dawn. And it seems like they have moved more towards that classic front to back team fight. More towards those split damage profiles, which I like to see from them. When you do have a bit of a different team comp that doesn't work out early on, it's really nice to see them move back into a more classic team comp, something a bit easier to work with, a bit easier to execute on. Lobster Spicy have a harder team comp than last time, but we'll have to see how they work their way through this one. It's a fairly low range team comp as well from them, so they'll have to be a bit careful about how they play it. Very much, they do have the Black Shield though to help someone jump in, whether that's the Zinzao, whether that's the Rek'Sai, whether it's the Kai'Sa jumping in with the ultimate. It's one to definitely keep an eye on. In terms of where we might want to look towards in this early game to see what's happening, some people that definitely you can keep an eye out for. Are we? Yeah, wait. Okay. So there's been a bit of a mix-up here. We'll have to see how this goes. Um, I'm not sure what we do here. Essentially, well, yeah, I won't give it away to stream what's happened. So how is the lobby set up? Is it set up so that people can spectate? Do we know? Yeah, I noticed, and then the game started, and I was like, oh wait. Hopefully, I'm hoping you'll be able to spectate as soon as the game goes to like load screen. But I suppose we'll have to see. Yeah. Basically, what has happened is started the game without the broadcaster in. So we're hoping that when we go into the load screen, they'll be able to spectate the game. If not, I suppose, do I share the screen? Do we have a backup? Would that work if I shared the screen to you? See if you can spectate now. Hopefully, you can spectate off me or one of the players. Do you have any of the players in the game? Because you might not be able to spectate off me, but you might be able to spectate off them. Yeah, you probably can't spectate off someone else spectating, but if you have one of the actual players, we might have to restart the lobby. But that'll be interesting. Yeah, but Paul's coming out. So we have a bit more time to chat about things. How are you doing, chat? How are you doing today? Should we do I have admin rights here? No, I don't. Okay. I was gonna put a poll in the chat but who do you think's gonna win? Whose comp do you prefer more? Any predictions on runes or summoners from either team? Anything you want to give away? I mean, I can give away that. I hope that they're gonna just choose the same runes and summoners because they should, because this is what they picked on the first time. But both supports taking exhaust. Love to see it. Exhaust is honestly such a strong summoner spell. It gets underrated so much because a lot of people don't really know how to use it. But it's good to see it this time being utilized. Apart from that, we don't see anything else too suspect. Maybe the Conqueror on the Corki is a bit suspect, but apart from that, it's not really anything else. So we are just going to have to wait for the draft to be remade, but that's fine. We get to talk a little more. Although I don't really know. I've run out of things. What should we talk about? How about mid lane Morgana? Because it's not something you see that often. It's one that if you're not so good at Morgana and not so good at last hitting, whether mid lane Morgana is good for you or not is a lot due to luck and whether her W actually last hits the minions. If you're good at last hitting, the W is just a great extra tool to help you get the push. It'll also be interesting to see whether we see a full damage version of Morgana, whether we see burn Morgana. I'm personally a big proponent of burn Morgana, especially when you add a Rylai's in there. The amount of CC that you get from the slow field of W is absolutely amazing. Also, on a team like Lobstar Spices, where your CC options are not the greatest, I'd love to see them tech into a Rylai's, maybe as a second item, maybe even a third, just for that extra zone control. The other thing that will be interesting about the mid lane Morgana into Annie matchup is whether the Morgana actually uses the Black Shield as bestie advantage. A lot of people forget that Black Shield only works really if it's greater than the damage incoming. So you do, as the Morgana mid, sometimes need to tech an extra point or two into the Black Shield to make it useful. So we'll see whether Lobstar Spicy's mid laner here remembers to do so. Anything else about the Morgana mid? Yeah, I mean, you'd expect to see them go towards burn. It'd be quite strange to see them go the other way, but we'll have to wait and see. We are back in the lobby now. Wait, champ select, waiting for them to just lock in. So it should be fairly quick. They already had all their runes and summoners sorted out, so it should just be a case of them locking the champions. Although some of them are taking a suspiciously long time to lock it. We'll wait and see why. Should I call them out? Come on, Dark Basher. Lock in Alistair. You can do it. It's an extra button. You can press confirm. Cut out an extra 40 seconds for us waiting. Yeah, well, we'll be in soon enough. Maybe he's just used to not having to press it and didn't press it, but there we go. Okay, so where do we want to be looking? Morgana mid's a bit of a strange one. Most people don't really know where its strong or weak points are. Why do we still see champ select? We had to redo the champ select. We'll be going into the game extremely soon. In fact, game will be coming up in just a second. What was I saying before that? Yes, Morgana mid. You want to gank the Morgana mid in the first couple of levels, really. One of her biggest tools is using that Q and that E, but she won't have the E for the first few levels. And potentially level 1, you will usually take the W, not the Q. So definitely something to watch out for. And we can see a pause coming in. Not sure why the pause is. Haven't heard from the teams, but it looks like they're unpausing very quickly. So that's all fine. We do see the majority of DND right here heading down towards the bottom lane. They're 5-stacking in a bush. Requiem puts the ward down. None of DND have got a sweeper, so they won't know they've been spotted if they decide to walk out here. But maybe they were just defending against the invade. Morgana is quite a strong champion for invading. If you want to take the Q first, you can get a lot of that extra damage down. But it is a mid lane Morgana, so it's not generally going to take Q first. You're actually very weak if you take the Q first. Really what I'd like to see from Extra Flavor here is him to recognize, hey, we can pressure this Morgana early. It sounds really silly to do something like a level 2 gank. That's not something you see nowadays. Yeah. It's not something you tend to see nowadays, but it can be really strong, especially in certain matchups. It can put that pressure down onto Declan that you really won't be expecting. You could potentially blow a flash out from him as well. Ooh, DJ Stino there. With a nice wait in the second bush, getting some early poke onto Mariofi. Probably won't mean much for the overall matchup, but definitely gives you a bit of that mental edge. And we're probably not going to see too much level 1. Level 2, if Dark Basher and Robinator can get it first, then we'll probably see them go for the engage towards the level 2. Get it, but it's pretty much at the same time, so they're both happy to just sit back. And it looks like the junglers are both heading towards the full clears. I am very sad about that. It would have been so good for Extra Flavor to gank the Morgana right now while the Morgana's pushed up into the tower, has the level 2. So doesn't have the E yet, can't stop any sort of CC from the Annie. They could definitely have at least blown a flash, but it's like he's just going to go towards the full clear instead. Doesn't want to slow his own clear down. Meanwhile, in top lane, we just see the trading. That's just going to keep happening. You can see here, Declan's being very aggressive with the mana usage. Actually, throwing down those black shields, throwing down the Ws, throwing the Qs out. Very gankable, actually. Declan If Extra had been ganking here, Declan would have died. But getting away with it for the moment. We'll have to see if that continues after the first full clears are done from the junglers. And yeah, a bit of a slowdown. Not too much going on at the moment. In terms of this early pressure, we kind of would expect to see more pressure coming out from LSP, just because the Morgana in the mid lane can push so much quicker than the Annie. She just shoves her W down on the wave, pretty much clears it. Clears it in a couple of Ws, especially if she can get a tick on the Annie to get the W up more often. And so can be there first on those roams. Extra Flavor has found Loza Cone, but looks like he is going to walk away. The knock-up comes down, but Wukong could be in trouble. That's a nice knock-up from the Scion, just escorting Extra Flavor out to safety. And so the Scuttle goes over to Loza Cone. Loza Cone just going to have a look in the enemy jungle a little bit. He's not going to spot anything out there, so honestly, doesn't get too much from this. Maybe gets to go take the other Scuttle. Looks like he will move towards it, but the back from Extra Flavor has given him the sheen, so does make him strong. And the bot lanes here, both just farming up. Content and happy to farm up in each other's faces, same with the top lane. Although they seem to be trading grass stacks more than going for the farm. You can see their needs are a bit lower. That's a lot of trading coming out from Mariofi and DJ Stino though. DJ Stino very low on the mana now. Will want to get a back off soon. Dark Basher jumping in, gets a double knock-up down. Sinister could be in a bit of trouble. Stun goes down, manages to move Extra Flavor closer though. And there's the exhaust just for the slowdown. Sidasta First Blood goes to Robinator. Really nice gank. Really well set up there from Dark Basher Extra Flavor together. Sidasta has to learn, you gotta flash those when you see them straight away. Declan here, still not taken aback actually. Making use of the, or just surviving with the lower mana on the Morgana. Able to keep up in CS as well, which is it's really good considering considering the lack of mana. See the difference in the top lane here with the Rek'Sai just picking up some early AD actually compared to the Balmy Cinder on the Scion. Be interested to see whether this is actually a bruiser Rek'Sai then as opposed to a tankier Rek'Sai. Have to wait and see. Mariofi here actually taking a lot of damage from DJ Stino. Ult comes out, and that's the solo bolo in the top lane to the Scion. Mariofi just not respecting the power of this guy. It looks like DJ Stino was looking to see if he could walk up and grab a plate. He's still hanging around, wants to get this plate, but honestly, probably at that point, just take the back or walk up and hit the tower. Zin is gonna really struggle to run you down before you can get to your own tower. No, Loza Cone actually going in, maybe just buying time, trying to make it awkward for DJ Stino to take it back, which kind of is now. Doesn't have the TP to come back in time. However, the Renata showing on the top side just gives carte blanche to Robinator and Dark Basher here to push in the bot lane, get themselves a plate, and this gold lead has to be moving up for the bottom lane. In fact, it's almost 1,000 gold lead. Is it possible for us to see the gold lead? And there we can see 500 of the gold lead in there for the AD carries. About 500 in the top lane for the Scion who just got that solo bolo. Goronen putting a lot of damage down into Declan, but it's not enough, and Locust Zone waiting patiently in the bush, but Gorinim having the stun up saves his life. Declan actually walking up. That's so far. Darkabasha jumping in forces the flash out from Morgana. Not sure what Declan was doing walking back up there. But forced to flash out, and that makes Morgana a little bit weaker, maybe in a little bit of trouble as we go on. Oh, and the rocket from Robinator picking up the kill, putting extra gold into the pockets of this Corki. And I think really we look towards Robinator to carry this game now. Looks a lot more confident, it feels like, on this Corki already than it was on the 6 from last game. Extra flavor. Happy to just give over these grubs if it means that he gets, well, the Drake and the entire enemy bot side. Got a control ward as well towards the mid lane brush, so they'll be able to see when Lozakone wants to move over from one side of the jungle to another. Interestingly, we can see the Rek'Sai Mariofi going for the classic Rek'Sai tunnels of trying to set up that tunnel highway all the way from base towards the top lane tower. Instead, one thing you can do, like I mentioned, was you can try and set up your tunnels to give you a quick gank angle towards mid. It doesn't look like he's wanting to do that. Actually looking to freeze the wave over on his side. I think this is quite a smart thing to do. I mean, when you've already given over a kill to the Scion, try and keep it closer to yourself. There's no reason not to. I think really we need to see something from Lozakone here. If you're on the side of LSP, yeah, I mean, you're happy to scale, but good hold there from Darkabasha means Robinator is able to pretty much get this entire wave. But you missed one, but most of the wave. Looks like he's going towards the Triforce first on the Corki as well. Very classic Corki item. So nothing too strange there. Looks like Shadow Flames being built towards for Morgana. Normal as expected. I think the interesting thing will be to see what the Morgana builds as the second item. Are we going to see Leandries? Are we going to see Aurelius? Maybe start towards a tier. Morgana is one of those champions that, you know, you can make use of the tier by just allows you to just spam your W out. Ooh, and fancy feat by Goran in there. Dodging out from pretty much all the abilities, getting some nice trades down onto Declan. We saw Declan being very strong in the previous game, especially in lane, but not so much seeing the same thing happening this time. DJ Stino as well, this game is putting a bit more dominance in the top lane. It feels like kind of across the board, DND's drafted themselves some stronger, more challenging lanes, and they're definitely got a bit more of a leg up than they did in game 1. I'll have to see how they manage to transition this, if they pull it into a strong mid game or not. Robinator and Darkabasha are actually in the mid lane now. They've chosen to send that Annie down towards the bottom lane. I mean, it does make sense to move the Annie out from the Morgana lane, where she can be punished a little bit more. And you put your strong Corki in the mid lane. Corki, a champion that, I mean, with the use of the Valkyrie, you can get a little bit more of the roaming off, but it's really just so that you have the flexibility of the Corki being able to easily get up to the top side as well as the bot side, and having a bit more of that safety in the mid lane. Although Robinator's not careful, he could be caught out here, hanging more towards the top side of the lane. That's good, as he should. Lozakone and Sidasta walking back towards Darkabasha's going to spot out Sidasta here. There's the knock up, a lot of damage put in, but you should be able to just walk out of it. Darker, though, taking a lot of damage, flashing away, just able to survive. Linking up on both sides, extra flavor jumping forwards, gets one ult out, but spell immune. There goes the Tibbers. Flash forwards from Robinator, he'll pick up one onto Declan. He's looking for Requiem next, but takes a lot of damage back. Requiem doesn't have the damage to turn that around. Robbie's still looking for some of these kills here. But in the end, It's just one kill picked up onto the Morgana. And it will probably be another Drake going over to the side of DND. Oh, but Robin is jumping into Requiem with the 1v1, and he does pick it up in the end. Both of them expending their barriers. The flash also coming out from Requiem. So Robinator in the end, with the full Triforce, is able to out-damage the Kai'Sa.
Turret plating will soon fall.
So, I mean, some people will be looking at this and be starting to think like, ooh, perfect game. Not a perfect game, we've got to point that out. The grubbies were all picked up this time by the side of LSP. So Lobster Spicy there. Managing to keep the grubs away from the L, but that's a catch out in the bottom lane. And Declan actually getting the kill on Tagore on him. That extra damage coming out from the burn is can be extremely good. That's a big pickup, honestly. Getting a bit of money back into the Morgana's pockets. Lowering the gold gap a little bit more in that mid lane. We can see we've got another Hextech Soul. This is the series of Strong Souls today. Day of Strong Souls, so and D&D have got to be very happy to see that one, especially when, you know, you're Corki as a champion that's very strong. It's a great one to see picked up. When you've got something like the Wukong that loves to weave those autos in. Oh my god, but it's back and forward in this bottom lane. Not sure what happened there. Don't have the instant replay, but Goranim managing to solo kill Declan straight back. Flashes committed from both of them. But that's... both of them just overcommitting. Extra Flavor potentially being caught out in the jungle here. Forced to ult. Well, and he's in a 1v3 situation, but he's jumping out. He's made a 3v3. He's trying to use the blast cone to get away. Jump forward from Mafioso to follow. He should be able to pick up extra flavor here. Robbie also caught out, though. A bit of a disaster. All of that gold going into Loza Cone, though, is not really the member you want it in. You want it in Requiem's pockets. But in this situation, you take what you can get. Looks like the Herald will be kicked towards, but jumping away. DJ Stino here posturing, but no real reason for it. And honestly, these mid laners turned bot laners, just kind of pushing the wave back into each other, picking up the kill on each other now and then. We'll have to see whether that continues. Gold lead has almost gone. In fact, it pretty much has gone. So we'll have to see now what that means for both teams. The gold... I mean, when I say the gold lead's gone, individual members do have their leads. In the bot lane, Robinator with quite a big lead over Requiem, whereas the jungle lead is massive right now for Lozakone over Extra Flavor. Whether that's going to amount into much of anything is a completely different matter. You see both AD carries still inhabiting the mid lane. They've taken it over. I mean, Corki, of course, used to be a mid laner at one point. So just back to his home. Extra Flavor hanging on the mid lane. He is spotted out on a ward, so Requiem and Sidaston not going to overreach here. Happy to just sit back, pick up the wave as it comes to them. Extra Flavor and Darkabash just little invade into the enemy jungle, scouting out a bit. Seems they don't really know they're on a ward. Goranim being able to pick up the blue buff, of course. Very good for him. He'll be able to just spam out his abilities now, doesn't need to worry too much about the Q resets. Ooh, but is this Morgana overstepping? Declan? Sense something is up. Standing back. Lozakone just staying just out of the vision. He's spotted. They know he's here. Robinator jumping in. They're just looking for the tower. They will pick up the tower and just back off. That's good restraint from the side there of D&D, knowing that, hey, we don't actually need to press this advantage, we can just pick up this tower. Be pretty happy. So, Mariofi in the top lane there was actually building towards the Titanic Hydra the entire time, so we'll probably see a bit of a health stacking Rek'Sai. Titanic Hydra just giving that extra damage that you want in the early game, some of that extra clear power. Be interested to see the next next item that we see coming out from the Rek'Sai. Herald just summoned up in the mid lane, interestingly left on its own, so it'll do a lot of damage to this mid lane outer, but they're not going to secure it just yet. Setting up for the next Drake coming up, which I don't know when that is, but I'm sure we'll see it. Oh no, it's already there. Yeah. Oh, of course, in the top left, what am I saying? I'm used to using the other timers. So, first Hextech Drake. D&D will really want this, but they're feeling a bit iffy about where the opposing team are. Goronim caught out here, tries the teleport play to get away. No CC, and Goronim able to just teleport out. The Morgana W was thrown down, but not the bind. So no CC interrupting, and Goronim able to escape. Mid lane outer picked up for the side of D&D, and a solid win for them. They haven't even given over the Drake yet. But it does look like they're happy to just give over this Hextech Drake in compensation. Not sure if I really would have agree with that one. I thought after taking that mid lane tower, they could probably look towards that Drake themselves, but they're not really pressing their luck right now. They're just playing the map, getting extra gold, starting to build that gold lead back up again. They've all moved over towards this Atakan. Looks like that's what they prefer. Instead of fighting for that Drake and then the Atakan, they're just hoping they can pick up this Atakan in time. Although, Lobster Spicy are moving up here. Stino's trying to interrupt them. About half health on the Atakan, and they just back off of it. Will they keep it aggroed? No, they're going to let it reset. And looks like just some time wasted on the side of D&D. Taking some synchronized backs. Requiem here probably could look for this turret, but he doesn't know where everyone is on the map, so he's just playing it safe. I think Rek'Sai might be soloing out. No, not soloing out again. Okay. Was just clearing out the wood, I guess. Of course, most champions can actually solo the Atakan, interestingly enough. It's one of those where it's like, when Herald first came out, people realized, wait a second, every single champion can solo the Herald if you actually just move around it in a circle. Very similar thing with the Atakan. If you move around it and stand at the right space away from it, you can just solo it. Oh, Darker could be caught out here. Jump in from Lucazone. Knock up. Darker's trying to get a flash over the wall. He will flash away. The ultimate was committed. Mariofi over the wall by himself. He is tanky, so he can just jump back. And they get the Alistar Flash ultimate out. If you're Lobster Spicy here, you've got to be thinking, do we start the Atakan now? Of course, Hextech Drakes means the Alistar can get back quickly if he wants to. It's not moved towards it. Extra Flavor might be caught out a little bit. Move forward from Mariofi. That's a knock up onto the Wukong. Wukong's in a lot of trouble. Knock up and Extra Flavor has been taken down. That's a big pickup for Lobster Spicy. They've got to look towards this Atakan next. And we can see Robbie's just moving back towards the mid lane. It seems like D&D might be wanting to give this up, but Darker and Goronim actually they're saying no, we're not happy to just give this up just because Extra's gone down. TP coming in, the Scions coming in. Yeah, D&D not going to give this one up without a fight. They know they don't have a jungler. Will they? They might keep this aggroed, but no, they're not going to risk it. Not without their jungler here. They're looking for this scuttle. Fishing's coming out. Look at them, looking for Robinator. Robinator, though, just jumping away. Gonna have to 1v1 Mariofi. Goronim has not forced away the Kaiser, but Mariofi maybe bit off a bit more than he can chew. Jumping away, unstoppable. Sion jumping into the middle of the enemy team in 1v3. Redemption there to back him up, but it's not going to do much. Following Redemption comes up, Mariofi in a bad spot, will be taken out. Tippers is down. Oh, but there's a flash forwards from Extra. Gets the knock-up onto Requiem and Declan. Requiem's down. Morgana, Zen, the last two left alive. Surely this has to be the Atagan now. Isn't this top matchup as in Worlds? Pretty much. I mean, people watch things like Worlds and they decide, yep, those champions are good, therefore we'll also play them. But I mean, Rek'Sai is always an interesting champion to watch, so I never mind if we see more Rek'Sai. And Sion's a strong champion, so yeah. Could give it to teams to lock a Sion in. That is Atakan secured for the side of DND. So one thing to remember is their gold lead is not indicative now. Really not indicative anymore of what their actual lead is. Their actual lead is higher than whatever it happens to be, because each of no, and we'll have to see where the teams choose to go next. It's just a little bit of a reset now that the next big which is the next Hextech Drake. It's not the sole point, because D&D did give up the previous Hextech Drake. But it is there. Baron also spawning in about 10 seconds, so we could see a trade-off coming. Dark Baron. My screen has frozen. There's a big fight coming out here. It's hard to cast because I can't see the screen. 2 going down, 3 down. It's the side of D&D wiping the floor right now. With Lobstar Spicy, they're just getting the better of them in every fight. This front-to-back team fight really helping them out. It's just giving them that pressure that they need, and they're gonna go take the next Hextech Drake. We love a Hextech Soul. I actually hate the Hextech Soul. I think it's just so overpowered for what it is. It is literally the static shift passive plus extra. That passive does not need to slow people when you also like auto do it. So yeah. So we'll see how that goes. So, a lot of items being completed now on both sides. Baron, of course, the next big objective up. I wouldn't say this game is decided. It is wide open. Yes, D&D have been getting the better of Lobstar Spicy in these fights so far. But if Lobstar Spicy can get that angle, can get a pick using the Morgana bind, or maybe if they can get some more poke down Morgana, especially with burn build, can do a lot of poke. I gotta admit, I don't like the build. I always think Zhonya's is a bit of a cop-out for Morgana, but a lot of people do like the build, so, you know, if you're able to use that Zhonya as well, it can be a very good pickup. It's just a lot easier for you if you just build things like the Leandries, things that are going to just add to your straight-up damage. I mean, you're not the one expected to be in the middle of the enemy team anyway. Goronim looking on the side there with Annie. Potentially just looking to try and catch someone out. Meanwhile, Declan turning into a bit of a jungle Morgana. I can see it takes him a long time to take that. Part of that's building like a Sonya's instead of more burn. But we'll see what comes next. Oh, they've got the TP. That is Declan having to use the Zhonya straight away, getting some out of it. Ultimate committed, but going very low. Should be taken out in just a second. The big fight breaking out. Stan's in the middle of anyone. in the middle of everyone, Robinator just off the back trying to throw the rockets in, a bit scared to jump forwards, but staying on the edge of the fight. That's just what he needs to do on this Corki. Rek'Sai will also go down as well. Just the support left for the side of Lobstar Spicy. And that TP was just not the TP you needed. Dalkavash again, finally getting the ace onto the team. And it looks like they're going to choose to try and break the base. They're not going to go for this Baron. I mean, they could actually go for both. They could break the base and then turn for the Baron. But I always think this is your better call. Or, you know, the question is, why do you get the Baron, right? If you're a bit newer to the game, maybe a bit lower elo, ask yourself, why am I getting the Baron? Well, you're getting the Baron so that you can get towers and break into the base. So if your choice after acing the enemy team is, do I want to try and break into the base, or do I want to get the Baron? Generally, you should just break the base. Often as well, you can do what you sort of see them doing here, where they break the base. If they really want to, they could turn and move towards that Baron straight after. But they will take the backs. Usually a better thing to do. Pick up some more items, buy some extra gold. If Lobster Spicy are feeling themselves a bit here, they could try and stop the backs, take that fight while D&D still haven't cashed in their gold and the gold lead's a bit reduced. Doesn't look like they're going to. They're just going to pick up a bit of the extras. So yeah, Declan still, oh, but they're catch in the mid lane. Requiem going down, that's not what you want to see. And Darga Basher on this Alistar really putting in a performance. Looking a lot stronger than he was on the Pantheon, where he was getting caught out a lot more. Baron started up, this is what we'd expect. D&D now will just take this Baron, they'll probably look to end the game with the Baron, I would expect. But we'll have to wait and see whether that is what they do. I expect Baron into back into push for either top or bot lane. It's likely they'll go either a 4-1 or a 5-0. So either put your main carries in one lane with the Scion on the other side, or you put them all together. Scion, of course, can join his team in multiple ways, so that's kind of expected. It looks like they're just going to move towards this top lane. They're going to try and break a few extra towers. They don't really have the bot lane as well, so this should be fairly not easy to repel, but I doubt they should be able to break the base like this. Oh, but they've found Robbie, but no, jumping backwards. And it's just this Corki, he's free hitting from the back line, but maybe they've caught them. They've got one down already. The Alistar's really low. They found the Corki. Is this the Lobstar Spicy turnaround? They get the Alistar down. He's trying to get onto the Corki. They just don't have the damage. And Robinator's still alive, jumping forward. Final kill. And they're really over chasing this. They don't need to do this. I mean, if you're Lobstar Spicy, you're very happy that, you know, Corki and Scion wasted so much time chasing after the Renata, and they don't even get the kill. It was actually an execute, but meanwhile, in the mid lane, Goranim on the Annie was just pushing down, ends the game. And I mean, it was almost the complete opposite of game one. Very interestingly, both of these teams, it seems when they lock in that kind of front-to-back team fight, they know what they're doing, they know how to play it, and they play it well. When they lock in a bit more of these slightly harder to do team comps where they don't have that super strong front line, and they don't have that really easy snap engage, they seem to struggle a little bit more. So I think moving towards this last game, I wouldn't be surprised if we see both teams try to lock in more of these front-to-back team fights. This last game is the do-or-die game for this series. Even if you lose the series, you've got to be happy you picked up a game. It's always nice to pick up your first game in a league, even if you don't win the series. Having a game under your belt is a big thing. Um, so yeah, going to the final games, I think it'll be interesting to see whether we see a swap up on the bans. I think, I mean, arguably right. Both teams have found bans that seem to pull them some success, so we might just see the same 10 bans from this set of games. The other interesting thing is, what do Lobster Spicy want to do? Do you think that they will want to go for that counter pick, or are they going to just pick something that they feel is very strong? Um, so I'm not looking at the stream, so I just want to check for the stream. For the sake of what's going on. Is the stream smooth for everyone? You can all see it fine? You're not experiencing any kind of like lag frame drops? Might as well ask so we can nip this in the bud if there is any. But I think it's probably fine. We'll see. But yeah, so I think it'll be very interesting to see whether Lobster Spicy decide to pick the blue or red side. Obviously, so far both teams have won from the red side, where they get that counter pick. And we've seen the counter pick come in pretty strong for both sides, actually. So we'll have to view what they want to do. I think an interesting point to look at will be in this bottom lane, because the support, we saw such a difference this game to last game, where last game Darker was struggling to have that that impact on the game past the early game. He had a few nice engages in the first few minutes, and then it felt like the enemy jungle was just there, and the enemy had his number, and they were just catching him out constantly. But the um, on the Alistair, it looks so much different. I think give him one of these slightly more tankier picks that has a way to engage, but also give himself a bit of room. They probably look a lot better. So we'll have to see if that continues. Um, so we're just working out some things. So we're just trying some things to see because Discord's being a bit jumpy, and since we don't have anyone in the stream chat saying that the stream was jumpy, we're going to assume it's Discord. So we're just fiddling with some settings to try and make sure that the stream is smooth. Essentially, for game one, apparently I was a little bit ahead, so I'm going to watch through I've been watching through the Discord stream for game two, so hopefully I will be in sync. So we're going to keep trying that, but didn't particularly work too well. You might have noticed in some of the game two fights where I was like, oh, I can't see the screen. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. In fact, I think there is the teams are taking a short 5-minute break just to go freshen themselves up. So maybe we can also just take a quick five minutes, essentially. I'll be back in a couple of minutes anyway. And we're back. Short break. The teams were basically just having a comfort break, we'll call it. We won't be crass. So yeah, just a couple of minutes there, and we should be getting into draft. Pretty much any minute is when everyone's ready. But we can do a little bit more of talking around things in the meantime. I realized as well I should have just linked the stream to the other Discord I'm in as well. I'm going to do that in the background while we're still talking about things. But yes, it'll be very interesting to see if the teams still lock in the same kind of champions as before. They build their front-to-back team fights. I think that's where they've both proved that they can really stand on their own. And if they both happen to lock them in, I think we'll see a really interesting matchup between them. So that would be really nice to see if they'll do that. Alternatively, maybe they just go, do you know what? Screw it, full comfort. I think teams tend to, when they lock in their own comfort, they'll do amazingly well. I mean, we saw that in game one when Lobstar Spicy had the Akali. The Akali is the absolute comfort for their mid laner, and he really did well on the Akali. He was finding the zigs. So locking in something that's just comfort for you is a really great thing to do. It's an easy way for you to get a leg up, especially on these lower leagues. So something if you're thinking yourself about going into a competitive team, or you are in a competitive team, something to think about. You might think, oh, my Udyr isn't very good because Udyr's not very meta. But what you have to remember is no one knows how to play against Udyr because it's not meta. No one knows how to play that matchup into Udyr, but you know your Udyr. So often it will just get you massive advantages that other generically stronger champions wouldn't. So I really would love to see them going one of those two routes. They either decide to lock in their generic strong teamfight comps, or they really tech into, hey, this person loves this champion. They're really comfortable in this champion. They're really strong in this champion. We've played with them before, so we know how they play that champion. Let's lock that in. Let's give them their comfort, and let's go for this. Of course, this is the first series of both of these guys in this competition. It's not the most important series ever because it's only the first one and they've both picked up a game, but it's really nice to win that first series. To have one series under your belt and go, well, we at least know now we've won a series. It can't be that bad. So both of these teams are probably going to come out of the gate swinging here to try and finish that off. Like I said, we're still just waiting for the teams to be ready to jump into draft. When they are, we'll be straight off. And apparently I think we are ready. So it should be any moment now. Or actually, maybe one of the teams is still taking a little break, but that's fine. It's important for people to take breaks when you are gaming. Do take a break in between your league games. Honestly, stand up, stretch a bit. You guys probably aren't old yet, but your body will thank you when you're getting into your late 20s. I can tell you that. But here we go. We're into the pick bans, and that's the first pick ban coming up. The ban away of the Nocturne. Nocturne, of course, strong champion. Lobster Spicy will counter it with a Syndra. They're looking more towards this mid lane for the bans this time. Echo taken away from Dynamo New Dawn. So I think looks like we might be seeing a lot of mid lane bans. 2 of our 3 bans so far have been towards the mid lane. You could say 3 bans if you're a Vedius enjoyer or enjoyer of Vedius, some Nocturne mid. I would not really advise Nocturne mid. Not so great anymore. And we see Maokai banned away again by Lobster Spicy. I think that's normal. Gwen banned away. Just don't want to get over the Gwen. That's fine. Pretty much the same bans coming out as last time. I think the interesting thing is definitely going to be what they decide to pick, especially pick first. If they're going to pick themselves a strong jungler or AD carry, I don't think we'll see anything else particularly. Poppy banned away. One of those champions that's, I mean, it's so strong right now just because of the amount of dashes that are in the meta. As soon as we see some of those dashes disappear, it'd definitely be a lot less strong. But the Jarvan locked in, it is a strong ganking jungler. There's not much else to say about it. Surprising that not surprising it was picked up in one of these games. Over to Lobstar Spicy to decide how they want to counter this. I think, like I said before, you're either looking for your comfort champions or you're looking for that front-to-back team fight again. Ashe, love Ashe, great champion, provides so much for your team. People really underestimate how good Ashe is. You no longer ever need to blind check a brush. You have the Ashe ultimate, you have the slows across the map. Renekton, we're looking towards, this is looking like a 2016-2017 comp coming out of Lobster Spicy. They really are going for this true front to back team fight, and I'm here for it. Maybe Dynamo New Dawn will do the same. So they're picking up the Shen. Shen can provide a strong frontline. He's not one of the strongest frontliners. His kit isn't actually so good at tanking. It's all thrown into his W. His kit tanking is W and his passive for gaining the shields, but he doesn't gain that much in terms of shields. So although Shen is seen as a tank, he is on one of the weaker ones on the tanking side. But Orianna picked up as well. Dynamo New Dawn remembering what happened in the second ban phase and going, do you know what? Actually, we don't really care about the fact you've grabbed an AD carry. We really want to lock in our mid laner. And loves the Spicy go, yeah, sure. If you want to lock in your mid laner, we'll do the same. And they take the Ahri, a nice maneuverable mid laner, someone that can get out of a lot of these things like the Jarvan cage. So I think that's a good pickup. Of course, Jarvan Oriball is a classic combination. You've also got the Shen ult that can come in. So Dynamo New Dawn really do have this submarine missile comp right here, kind of being built up. Lobster Spicy definitely more of a pick comp, but also very strong front to back right now. So we'll see how that continues. The obvious bans from Lobster Spicy side is just AD carries. You have your AD carry, the enemy doesn't. So ban AD carries is generally the way to go. You'll see the same from Dynamo New Dawn, where they've locked in a jungler, the enemy hasn't. We just ban junglers. It's a very easy way to do it, where you're not going to hit your own champion pool at all. You're just going to hit the enemies. Of course, you might still want to ban out some things from what's left to pick. It's not a foolproof way, just banning out the enemies like position you've picked. But yeah, we see them continue to do so. So Lobster Spicy is taking away the MF. I think that's a really good takeaway, actually. When you're against a Jarvan cage, when you're against a Shen with a taunt, an Orianna with an Ori ball, and a Shockwave, taking the MF away is a massive one. And I always think just MF is generically pretty much always going to be a strong champion. Most people don't realize she's actually a really versatile champion, how you can build her, but people always say, well, she's a stat stick, you build her the best way you build her, and they'll always put the same path. Don't do that. Have a think about it yourself. Have a think of the game you're in. You will find it's a lot better to vary up your path. Lobster Spicy looking for their jungler here because they want to obviously keep their support for the counter pick. That support pick has been so pivotal in both games, it feels like, for Dynamo New Dawn, that I'm not surprised it's been left till last on Lobster Spicy so they can get a good support matchup. They're looking the Viego, something that's really good if it can take the some of the enemy champions. It doesn't have the best enemy champions here to take. Jarvan's a really nice one to take. I don't think Shen's one of the best to take, but we see Nautilus locked in. Some really good engage options, a bit of a better front line. They just need a very strong AD carry here. Someone that can generically peel themselves would be nice, but if Dynamo New Dawn is a good team at peeling, they can peel their AD carry with these picks anyway. They're taking their time thinking it over, which shows that they're not too sure, but they lock in the Caitlyn. Strong, long-range AD carry. Really like this compact sheet from Dynamo New Dawn. They pretty much have all the sorts of things that they could want. I'm not sure about the Braum. Lobster Spicy, it's a very decent comp. I don't know if I would have gone with the Braum, but it's it's a fine pick. You can stop some of the engage. You can jump in. You can't really stop the Ori Ball Shockwave. You're pretty much stopping Caitlyn autos with your shield. The shield is one of the biggest things about Braum, so if it's comfort, great. I think comfort's generically one of the correct things to do. So yeah, I think possibly in a situation like this, I might have preferred to see something, more like a Leona that's just a stronger tank support than Braum is. But we'll see how they do. We're seeing a very sort of I think like 2017-18 comp out of Lobster Spicy, and Dynamo New Dawn has a very old school comp, it feels like. Um, so yeah, next up it'll just be going into the game, and when we're into the game, it'll all be fine, and we'll see what they've picked up. Interesting enough, as much as I say I love Exhaust, it's not so much I love Exhaust, I just think it's a really strong summoner spell. This is one of those games where maybe you don't want the Exhaust if you're on Lobster Spicy side. It doesn't bring you as much value as it would in a lot of other games, because what you have to remember is you've got to be able to exhaust the damage dealers. And what that means is if you're on Lobster Spicy, whoever has the Exhaust wants to be near the Orianna and the Caitlyn. And you don't want your support or your AD carry near the Orianna or the Caitlyn. So this is not really a great game for Lobster Spicy to take Exhaust, but we'll see if they do. On the other side, Dynamo New Dawn, I think Exhaust would be a great pick for the Nautilus, honestly. So we'll have... if they pick the Exhaust, it means that when they engage, they can throw it down after the Nautilus CC runs out just for that extra bit of CC. They can also use it on the Viego when he jumps in to really nerf his damage, or potentially the Renekton or the Ahri. It's one of those which generally it just gives a really good improvement, really good value. That's what I mean. Of course, this is actually one of those games where Ignite is a very good pickup. A lot of people do just take Ignite because they're like, I want to kill in lane. Ignite will help me kill in lane cause damage. You generally find actually Exhaust will tend to help you more. But in a game like this, where the enemy team has a lot of healing, Viego has an insane amount of healing, Ahri heals a lot, Renekton heals a lot. It's likely that Ashe will tech into some heal as well. Or potentially the bomb might take heal. Ignite, very strong. It just gives you that grievous wounds that you otherwise would have to build an item for. So we might see that being picked up. Another interesting one might be because Shen has his ultimate, whether he decides he wants to take the teleport or not. Sometimes you'll see a Shen not take teleport. I think he should. It's just very strong to take the teleport, so we probably will see that. Same thing kind of happens sometimes with Renekton. They tend to sometimes tech into other things. We might see a different summoner spell in the mid lane. Orianna into Ahri. I think an interesting one would be actually Cleanse on the Orianna. Most people don't consider this, but if the Ahri does tech extra points into her E, it does scale up the charm timer. So we'll have to see whether he's New Dawn's mid laner. Gor thinks to take cleanse or whether he wants to stick with the TP. Both are pretty good. Meanwhile, on the Ahri, you might actually see the Ahri take Ignite, or you might see the Ahri take even like Exhaust or Barrier. That wouldn't be too surprising, to be honest. Um, so yeah, we're basically now just waiting for the game to load. It'll be a little while. Um, also have to let me rest my voice cords a little bit. Usually, you know, you have a couple of casters, so you're not talking the entire time. But I've been talking for what is that, like 4 hours straight, almost. So we'll see how that goes tomorrow. That'll be interesting. I think I have a lot of meetings at work, so that'll be fun. So I think a very where do we want to look in this game? You probably will see for the first few levels, it's probably going to be quite boring, which you might not want to hear. But when we get towards that kind of level 3 to 6-ish range, that's when to look towards the bot lane. Because you'll start to see probably Caitlyn and Nautilus trying to go for more of this poke, more of these like kills. You might also see Ashbourne try and turn it around. When we get to level 6 and higher, you're really going to see the kill pressure starting to come out from the Orianna and the Ahri against each other, and that's where you might see more of these ganks coming in. Orianna, of course, is one of those champions that's harder to gank. Well, it's supposedly easier to gank, but if the Orianna knows what they're doing, keeps the W, has the E ready to go on themselves, can actually be quite hard to gank because they can speed themselves up, they can slow the enemy down. Very important to take note of. And past 6, of course, there's also the Shen that could come in at any point. So, yeah, I don't have admin rights in the chat. Otherwise, I'd put a poll and we could start the poll and see like who people think is going to win. But we'll, if you feel like you really want one team, shout about it in the chat, and maybe I'll be like, hey, look, a lot of people are saying this team has the better comp. But I think they've both got pretty generic-y team fighty comps here. The front line for Lobstar Spicy is a bit weaker than Dynamo New Dawns, but they have a bit more damage, so it's fairly close. The only thing to maybe point out is Lobster Spicy's AP damage is entirely coming from the Ahri, so that's good for Ahri because she likes to be the only source of AP on her team. But it does also give you a bit of that pitfall where if the Ahri goes down, you're then entirely relying on your AD champions. And against something where it's like a Shen, where if Shen is very good and he does put his he puts his sword and the protection on it in the correct place, you can stop a lot of your damage. What else do we want to talk about? An interesting point will be whether to see whether the Ashe E, is it called Hawkshot? It's been too long since I've played enough League. I'm forgetting what all the ability names are. Whether Ashe's Hawkshot is actually able to spot out some of the movements of the Jarvan early. I mean, there's not too much you can do with the ganking early. You can try and put some pressure onto the Renekton, get the Shen ahead. Renekton's Renekton Shen is one of those things where you kind of expect the Renekton to do fine. But if you put the Renekton behind, he can struggle. Same thing with if the Shen falls too far behind, he can really struggle in that matchup. So we might see some early pathing up there. Otherwise, I mean, Caitlyn's always a magnet for ganks. People always remember, hey, Caitlyn has to be ahead in lane. It's not strictly true, but people always remember that and love to try and gank the Caitlyn. She doesn't have the best abilities to kind of get away. So yeah, might see that. Interestingly, we see the heal on the Braum, we see the cleanse on the Ash. I really don't like the cleanse on the Ash, but there we go. We see the cleanse on the Caitlyn. I think that's big. Cleanse into especially things like an Ari Charm, amazing. Ignite on Nautilus is fine. Heal on Braum, I think would have honestly preferred Exhaust because the enemy's going to be building heal cut anyway. We do see a 5-man stack coming out from Lobster Spicy as they go into the brush. Robinator has to be a bit careful here. You should be completely fine. Able to just walk away from this one. Wards put down on either side. They will just walk out. Interestingly enough, D&D did not take the chance to invade, get a bit of vision, or maybe put down a ward of their own. They're just happy to 5-point it. This time, interestingly, extra flavor not starting with the extra pots. He's just happy to take that 50 gold towards his first item and instead assume that he probably won't get invaded by the Viego, which is, I mean, it's very likely he's not going to get invaded by the Viego. Another interesting point is we have fleet footwork on the Caitlyn compared to lethal tempo on the Ashe. I feel like although fleet can be very strong for lane presence, I might have preferred a different rune on the Caitlyn. It's not going to give you that much extra value towards the later game. Even the extra little bit of move speed it gives isn't great when the enemy team has kind of those slows. And yeah, up top lane you'll basically see that for the first level, Renekton gets to play however he wants. When we get towards level 2, it might swap around a little bit. But DJ Snow has to stay close enough to the wave to get that level 2. He's done quite well being able to pick up 3 minions, actually. Oh, but what's happening in bot lane? Darker, Basher, and Robinator actually managed to catch out the Braum level 1. The level 2 power spike coming in there and just not respected by the Braum. You can see Flash was actually used as well. I'm not entirely sure what happened down there. But, yeah, if you're a D&D fan, you are ecstatic at this first blood being picked up. That's exactly where you want it to go. It goes onto the Caitlyn, and you start to get this Caitlyn ahead. I see in the bottom lane, I think there was a nice little... there was an attempt at an interrupt onto the Caitlyn, but they didn't manage to interrupt the back, so... Caitlyn taking that early back, picking up the cull. I gotta say, AD carries really love their culls in this league so far. I think we might have had one game out of the 5 today that didn't have a cull in it. Oh, nice taunt from DJ Steno. Actually putting a lot of damage onto Mariofi. Mariofi feels like he has to flash away in case the taunt comes back up. He's got his Fury stacked up, but he needs to get the heal down, really. Pot's helping a little bit, but if he can get a Q off, get some heals down, that's what he wants. Oh, and more just trading up in this top lane. They are both fairly low, so if one of them could get the advantage over the other here, then that could be a kill coming in. Actually, more likely for the Shen to get a kill from this position. So I have to see whether he can turn that. But, yeah, not too much to look at. I think top lane is probably the right place to watch at the moment. Oh, but actually, both mid laners are incredibly low. Declan, no mana left either. It is a cannon wave, so they should both just be backing here. You don't really lose anything for backing on a cannon wave, but they're both sticking around. It's honestly a bit baffling. Really just asking to be ganked. Yes, their flashes are up, but one of the freest pulls of a flash. you can basically get here is right of extra flavor to shadow Goranum there, and now they're choosing to back. A bit of a strange play over. There's an engager in the top lane. He just throws down the W just to help himself stay a little bit healthy, able to stay a bit longer in this lane. So DJ Stino was really feeling himself here. When his cooldowns come up, he could have gone for the kill himself, but he's happy to just kind of trade and get as much CS as he can, falling behind a little bit. That's what you kind of expect generally in this lane. He did very well to trade into the Renekton, but didn't manage to convert that to a kill. Both AD carries here actually did pick up the cull first. Yeah, I mean, culls are good. That's, if you're thinking the game's gonna go for a while, culls are good, but I wouldn't say every game. An early Ocean Drake, very nice, especially if you're in the top lane, both top laners here. If I was top lane and I see how much my opponent's trading with me, I'd probably be like, jungler, please go get that Drake. The amount of little extra health regen that Drake will do from this early game is massive. Goranim flashing away there. I think he probably could have gone. Oh no, he's not the one with cleanse. What am I saying? Yeah, like I say, I think it would have been great if Goranim had taken a cleanse instead of a TB. But forced to flash there makes the Orianna a lot more susceptible to ganks. It was a correct flash in that situation. We haven't seen it so much these games, those early flashes, but often, yeah. I mean, you saw the Viego mist coming out. It's right to flash early there. You don't want to see if you can live there from full health. You probably could, but then you'd be forced to back. You'd lose a lot. You're better off just honestly giving the flash and sitting near your tower for 3 minutes. Now, Mario is actually doing something very interesting here. We're just helping with the invade. A lot of people in lane don't do this, but if your lane's just very stagnant, not much is happening, that is something you can do. You can move over to help your jungle, either take the scuttle, take a camp, just have a look into the enemy jungle even sometimes, put a deep ward down. Speed up their clear just that little extra bit, and yeah, you're not getting that advantage in your lane, but you weren't anyway. And now you're speeding up your jungle. It can be very strong if you learn to do it and just slowly get these advantages. That's Sidasta being in the top lane there. Just a little love tap over towards the enemy top laner. But with all of these members of LSP on the top side, it does mean extra flavor, and Robinita here get to pick up this Ocean Drake. Very nice early pickup. And I don't mind this push-in of the Caitlyn ult. Sidasta actually started up the grubs here by himself. And Dark Bash and Robinita both pathing up. Extra flavor's not here yet. That's one grub picked up. A TP thrown in by Declan. This probably should just be given up, but still pressuring a little bit. Declan catches. Charm goes out. Robinator's in a lot of trouble. Has to flash away on sub 100 health. Tries to get out. It does manage to jump out over the blue buff. They're all put in the Cataclysm now. There's one picked up already, but it will be traded back. Dark Passion going down. That's 2 for 1 now. Extra flavor. Managing to pick up the kill back onto the Ahri. Can he get out the ultimate from the Caitlyn? Doesn't pick up Sidasta, and it ends up being the 3 for 2 in favor of LSP. And they get all 3 grubs. Really not great for Dynamo New Dawn. And both of the kills going on to the Jarvan as well is not really what you want. Compared to 2 of the kills going on to Viego. Ozone really there. Looking to see if he can catch Robinator. Robinator who, in that first game, had been pushing up, had been overextending. Just playing back this time. Realizing after almost dying in that play, maybe I shouldn't push up here. Maybe I just take the win, I take my back, buy and path to lane. And we get a bit of a slowdown, you know, as there's nothing on the map really to play for apart from plates and kills. Teams tend to slow down here, they just farm up a little bit, they try and work towards those items. You can see that already the Viego has completed his first item, he's just been power clearing. Already on 4k, that's pretty much where that's pretty much the gold lead currently for LSP. Obviously, it's actually there's a gold lead for the Caitlyn and the Renekton as well on either side. But oh, that's an engage by Dark Abasha. Just a little bit of damage being thrown out, but that's the ultimate from Braun. And Lucas Ocone is here. He catches onto Robinate, who has no flash, goes down. That will also be Dark Abasha being taken out. He can't get onto Requiem. Double kill for the Viego. As a bit of a disaster, just really good timing from Lozicone there to be walking towards the mid lane. He could feel something was going to happen and was able to just cover his AD carry and his support. Without him there, that could have gone the other way. And this is the gold lead increasing just a bit more. Of course, pretty much the entire gold lead still on the Viego. So have to keep an eye out for that. They managed to take this Viego down early on or before anyone on Dynamo Nudon dies, then pretty much entirely flips the gold perspective. Robinator using the pressure of Caitlyn to get a plate for himself, just getting a bit of that value back up. And the game's slowing down a little bit. Extra flavor actually maybe looking for something here. Uses the red trinket, can see that there's nothing. But Hook not catching onto Requiem. Requiem playing far back, playing safe. And extra flavor on the job is moving back. And Caitlyn also finishing the first item here, as well as Jarvan. So first items sort of coming out for various people now. Starting to see them hit their item power spikes. Of course, Caitlyn has to stack hers. But should see for when the next Drake comes up in 20 seconds, we might see Dynamo New Dawn looking to fight this one. They do have 2 items completed, one on their AD carry, one on their jungler. Also on their mid, in fact, as well. I would expect to see the mid item completed for the Ahri at the same time. So 2 full items, 2, 3 full items. Dynamo New Dawn, in theory, should be feeling quite a bit stronger for this Drake, but we'll have to see whether they actually do. It is a Cloud Drake, so Cloud and Ocean will be down. Arguably 2 of the weaker Drakes. Of course, Hextech is still up for grabs. We could see the Chemtech, which is generic or generally seen as the weakest soul of them all. It's very character specific, which is quite unfortunate. It's an interesting basic idea for a soul. It's a shame that it's so character specific when they tried so hard to make sure that the other souls were not specific to being great on certain characters and useless on others. Both teams kind of posturing around this Drake right now. Not really going anywhere with it, which is interesting. A lot of time being wasted by the Viego. Ryan just picking that up. Nice and easy, picks up the wave. Directed camera loves some top lane. But the Drake will get picked up, it looks like, by the side of LSP. Nice little cloud, will let them move a little bit faster around the map. And another Hextech! What is going on? So many Hextech souls. Game's really saying, yeah, we want whoever gets the soul to win all 3 of these games, it seems. So we'll have to keep an eye on that now that both teams know it is a Hextech soul up for grabs. We might see, yet again, more priority towards these Drakes. A lot of Dynamo Nudon hanging around this mid lane. Goronim here actually pathing up and down between mid and bot lane to pick up waves and cover mid. I think it's I mean it's quite a good move really. You don't have to fight the Ahri. You can cover a bit. You lose out probably a little bit on the XP on the gold in the bot lane, but not the end of the world. Oh, and we see Lozakone is here, but DJ Snow just flashing away. Just disgusting. He takes the Shen's life and just jumps away with it. But Declan jumping in here with the ultimate. Nice flash away from Robinator, sidesteps. Darkabasha in a lot of trouble now. There's the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. But Robinator manages to cleanse out of it. Goronim coming in to just escort his bot lane out. But extra flavor looking for something here. Sidasta pulled into the Cataclysm. They get one, but extra flavor is just going a bit too far forwards, and Goronim now, he's 2 for 4. Requiem really feeling himself, flashing in. He's going for 1, he's got 2, he's going for Robinator as well. The Shen ult is coming down, but it won't keep him alive long enough. Oh, but Shen does come out actually. And just pick up 1 on the backside, but that's a triple kill for the Ashe, and Requiem really popping off here. Throwing the damage, moving forwards. And that's, yeah, a lot of really nice damage. Not much you can say about that. Really well played from Requiem to just be putting damage down and moving forwards near the end of that. And likely that's evened up. Yeah, it's evened up the gold differential between the bot lanes. It's actually put Requiem ahead. Massive gold differential as well in the top lane right now. It's just being, it's pretty much across the board actually. Big gold differentials basically everywhere. Apart from, well, mid ADC. It's pretty even right now. Oh, but they're going in onto Sidasta. Requiem moving up to just help keep his support alive, give him an out. Just see, we do see the lethality starting to be picked up by the Caitlyn. Not the biggest fan, if I'm honest, of it, but you can do it. It's fine. It's not like the enemy champion has a big tank, so you're not throwing away your autos by building it. Interesting enough, we see the Mikhails picked up by Darkabasha there. Getting yet another form of CC removal. Which is very, very smart actually. A lot of CC on the enemy team that you want to be able to remove. Like, managed to get that mid lane turret taken out. The game will just slow down yet again. Interestingly, ultimate thrown out against Requiem there. Trade of ult, Declan jumping forwards. Darkabasha throwing the ult out himself. Oh, he was not quite in range for that dredge line to hit, so he doesn't pull himself out to safety. He will be taken down. And Rift Herald is the next objective. It's currently up. So LSP will look for the Rift Herald. Probably are going to use it on mid. They've really struggled to get any damage into the mid lane tower so far. I expect Goronim to push bot lane, try and break this tier 1. It looks like the rest of the team, Dynamo Nudon are also moving towards it. They'll probably just look to trade the bit of gold that comes out of the Herald for this tier 1 tower. I will say I do think Herald is a overrated objective. It's probably the weakest of every objective. Yes, your aim is to get towers, but realistically the Herald doesn't get you a tower by itself. It gets you some damage on a tower, but Goronim might be caught out here. Stun goes down. No flash on the Orianna. Eventually he's going to die. The question is, who do they give it to? Lozakone picks it up. I'm not sure if that's actually the correct thing to do here. I mean, Declan on the Ahri, the only source of AP damage, hasn't been given a kill yet. Oh, but he's jumping forwards. He wants to get Robinator. There's the cleanse coming out with the Shen ult, and Declan having to jump away. Of course, that's the it's a nice thing about Ahri's Spirit Rush. With all of those charges, you're able to just jump out of it. Danger when you need to. Stino, bit of enemy lines here. They were jumping forwards. They almost caught Robinator again. He's very low. That's flash balls from Mariofo. They've got Robinator. They're all going down. Dynamo New Dawn collapsing under the weight of LSP, and LSP will get at least one mid lane tower as their prize. Interestingly, it looks like they're valuing the Atakan over taking multiple mid lane towers. They definitely could have dropped the Rift Herald there and quickly taken a second tower before turning onto it. Preferring instead to just 100% secure it, I guess. Bit of a waste of the Rift Herald, really, but there we go. This is partly why I don't think Rift Herald's that great. Not many people actually even use it. But really nice play from LSP. They pounce, they get the 4 kills, they get the mid lane outer, opening up the map for them a lot, and they get the Atakan. The lead right now, absolutely massive for LSP. They might have lost in the second game, but they want to make a statement in this third game that was just a flash in the pan. And so we're back to farming the game. It's very normal to see. When all of the objectives tend to be down, there's not much up to fight over. You know, teams will farm. We see some very nice ward lines coming out for both teams around the river. I would not really expect LSP to push up too much further until they move their ward line with it. But you never quite can know. LSP could be, well, probably should be looking towards this bot lane tower next. Goranum can sense something is up. It's moving back. It's very, very smart of him. Looks like they'll use the Rift Herald to secure tier 1 outer bot, which is, yeah, not a very good use of it, but there you go. At least maybe it can get a second charge off. Goranum hiding there in the bush. Oh, they managed to catch Declan a little bit, but the ult from the Nautilus will lock him down. That should be one dead Ahri. Can they give it over to the Orianna? No, it goes into Extra Flavor's pockets. Not quite where you really want that gold to go, but you take every kill you can get. And yeah, honestly, not a great use of the Rift Herald. Probably not worth the time it was spent to take it, but there we go. We are seeing the classic Ahri problem of if Ahri does not get ahead early, she really struggles to pick up the kills. She'll tend to put a lot of damage down herself, but it's not really the one who will be executing people in the end. So, very classic Ahri stat line from Declan. That's also why at some point earlier I mentioned, ooh, are they going to hold this to give to the Ahri? Because that would be nice, but they didn't. And that's kind of what happened. We can see so far, no heal cut has been picked up yet from the side of DND. I'd really hope that Robinator might be picking some up next. It's definitely something you can build towards as an AD carry. You're going to want probably one of the armor pen items, and there's not that much difference between them. So when you're against a team that does have a good innate amount of healing, you should definitely consider, I say you should definitely consider, just build the heal cut over the armor pen. Difference in amount of armor pen is really not enough to justify the extra armor pen. In terms of the next objectives coming up, it will be the Baron spawning next. There's some very nice ward lines put down from D&D, but Lobster Spicy do have a flank ward available to them if they would like the Ahri to come in. Mario, if you're looking for something, there's the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. It's onto a Nautilus, and it's only the Renekton there. They're starting to go the engage. Requiem's looking for something below the cone. On the side, Robinator's in a lot of trouble. The Channels come out. Declan's forced to jump away over the wall. There goes the Viego. They're jumping in. That's the Renekton in the middle of them. He's doing so much damage. Robinator's down. They all just explode. 5 down. No waves pushing in means that they will decide to turn towards this Baron instead of pushing lanes. Possibly, you know, you could have, say, one of them push, maybe Ahri's going to push the lane. That would be smart for Declan to push the lane while the rest are taking the Baron. Ahri's not the greatest champ for taking Baron anyway, but she can clear away fairly quickly. And then you might also be able to pick up a mid inner as well with this Baron. Rest of the team is backing. I mean, you're generally fine with this as the Ahri. And you've got the next Hextech Drake up. Moving towards that soul, puts them on the soul point when they take it. D&D probably not going to fight this one. You probably want to fight the next, look to fight the next one. This isn't the soul. You don't need to throw away your life over this one, especially not when the enemy team have the Baron. And they could transition a kill like that towards a potential game-ending situation. Yeah, I think that's right for them to just hold off. The question is, where to look next? We have the Baron, and we've seen some questionable Baron plays in this series already. But this time they pull the trigger, they take the dragon. Are they going to use this Baron, or will they just keep it as the, hey, we got a bit of extra gold for taking Baron? At the moment, it's looking like they're just happy for it to be the bit of a gold, but it would really be nice to see them try and use this Baron to pressure, and at least get some chip damage onto the towers using the cannons. Taster actually moving up, trying to progress the ward line forwards, but he's all by himself. He's gonna get caught here. In fact, he does get caught by the dredge line. The shield does come up, and maybe now instead Dark Bash is the one in trouble, gets charmed. The Ahri doesn't have the charm up, and that's a flash away from Guanin, but he gets caught by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. He's in a lot of trouble. Is the Orianna. He's taken down extra flavor as well. Now it's left to Robinator in a 1v5. He will go down. Requiem manages to stay alive through the tower shot. It's all on this Shen. Can the Shen keep the line? He has 40 seconds to hold the line. This will be the base broken. But he needs to get these minions. There's an entire extra wave coming in. Still 30 seconds. This is likely to be the end of the game. We need a miracle out of DJ Steno here. What can he do? He needs to catch Requiem. Can he get onto Requiem? No, he's E'd away. That's got to be the game. No taunt. Braum does go down. They're pushing onto, they get the Shen. It's just an Nautilus up. This is going to be the end of the game. And it ends up being a 2-1 to LSP. In a bit of a statement third game from them. That game, it looked good for D&D after the first 5 or so minutes, but very quickly it turned around. LSP put their foot down on the pedal, pushed as hard as they can, and took that game, took the series. I think we saw some really good things out of D&D. Dynamo New Dawn, it's a good first showing from them. They showed some good team fighting skills. Just a little bit of the falling behind they struggled to come back from. And that's pretty much what we saw from them. But I think it'll be interesting to watch them going forwards. And definitely they managed to take, they took a game. So very good from them. They should be happy with their performance. Obviously, there's things to improve on, but that will come from all teams. In terms of LSP, really nice win from them. I think they played 2 good sort of team fighting comp teams that they showed they could perform on. Maybe they can look back at that game 2, see what went wrong. They have some room to grow there, but they managed to get their first win on the board. Always very important in these kind of leagues. You do get that momentum going, and you feel a lot better in yourself. So yeah, it's. I'm sure it'll feel very very good for them. I don't know. I assume we're probably not going to do the not going to do any interviews again. So what I'll do is I'll give us a little summary. What did we see today? Well, we saw a 2-0 in the first game. Roswald taking that 2-0, getting their first one on, and then we saw LSP here in honestly a close series, taking it over DND. I think we've got some very interesting games coming up. I don't know what the series are tomorrow, but definitely tune back in tomorrow for whichever series is being casted. Just to let you know. So I am Gablet. If you enjoyed my casting today, I am from Coral. You can always come over to the Discord and ask us to cast games from other places if you really want. Here we go. The streamed games tomorrow is going to be Roswell Green versus JB Finance and Partner. That will be at 19 CET, so 7 p.m. CET, 6 p.m. GMT. Then following that, we'll have Roswell Blue versus Dangerous Game. That's going to be starting at 21 CAT or 20 GMT. I won't be here for those, but you'll be in good hands. I'm not sure who we have casting them yet, but I'm sure they'll do great. You'll love them. So like I said, I've been Gablet. For this series, we've had Trial Shock doing the broadcasting, so make sure to give him a big shout out if you enjoyed the broadcast. Thank you all for coming to watch. We'll see you all tomorrow, and good night.